All right. It's Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. Calling this regular meeting to order by President Abdel at 6:09 p.m. Can we please rise to pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Roll call members. Mr. Rebate.
Present.
Ms. Watson.
Present.
Mr. Ferris.
Present.
Mr. Gahane.
Present.
Ms. Volynick.
Present.
Ms. Mia.
Present.
And I'm present, but my seat keep just going down. So we got a full house. Acceptance of agenda. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Rebate.
Second.
I heard Mr. Ferris. Resolved that Board of Education accepts and approves the agenda with any additions or deletions. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. We go into presentations. We have our HPS Student Advisory Council presentation. Come on up.
Good evening, prospective board members. So, today we're here to introduce our Student Advisory Council, or SAC. The idea is pretty simple. Students have ideas and have experiences, and students have voice. We want to create a space where those voices can come together and where students can work together with teachers and district leadership to make school even better place for everybody. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Tanvir Ahmed, and we have two of our members in the back. If you could stand.
My name is Kagem Ngali. My name is Peter.
To begin the presentation, I'm going to say a statement. It's not a sentence, a statement, just to make sure it's the best decisions for the student are made with students, not just for students. And to accomplish that, we're going to do it in 3 steps. First, we're going to create a bridge between our students, our staff, and our leadership. Secondly, we'll make sure every student voice is heard, no matter what's their race, ethnicity, and grade is. Thirdly, the presentations we're going to do here, if we get accepted for this council, are going to be very actionable with data. After doing about 50 evidence claim reasonings in school, we have understood that not if any claim is not reasonable without data. So we're going to make sure that we get enough data from the student to be able to show that the approach we're trying to do is actionable and is actually what students want.
Next. SAC isn't a traditional student government. We're just not gonna focus on planning events or activities for the students. We will be looking at a bigger picture. For example, listening to students, collecting feedbacks, and turning those ideas into recommendations. Because there is a difference between saying we have a problem and saying here's what students are experiencing and here's what we think could help. That's the difference we are trying to create. Next.
So after I personally joined this council, I've had many questions from my friends that you were just another student government person that are not going to listen or do not. But just to make sure, we're very different from student government. A student government usually do event planning and school spirit for proms, pep rallies, dance, and their elections are popularity based. No matter what your qualifications are, you're popular, you are in the board. And then their mindset is extracurriculars. It has to do nothing with student policies or whatever the board is doing. But we are completely different in that case. Our main goal is to look at district policy and student experiences. We're going to create board recommendations. We're going to collect data. We're going to review and try to improve the policies that the board are trying to get in place. Besides that, our representatives are not just popular. They are from different extracurriculars, academic pathways, and athletics too. So we don't want to miss out on any students and not being heard. And finally, our mindset is to continuous district improvement. So we're not just trying to get a new club in school, but we're trying to make sure that every single thing that the district is doing is something that's correlating with what the students needs. Thanks.
This is where we take student voices and turn them into action. We reach out, we listen, we understand, and then we act. Because we don't want ideas to just stay ideas. Next.
Now, when we say we are ready, we're actually ready. So we have a whole system in place where we're gonna deploy a vast amount of surveys to students and collect data from there. After filtering those data, we're gonna get what is specific things that the student have said. After that, we're gonna hold 5-minute classroom sessions where the student get to talk and we get to go a little deeper into the problems. And finally, we'll synthesize and find what is the actual problem in one statement, and we'll put them in a structured system. And after that, we're gonna provide our final presentation in this school board with the data that shows that this problem is an actual problem and the student actually wants to solve it in their way. Next. Okay, so after that, we have our operating procedures and governance, where we have a governance and structure. Our mandated monthly formal meetings are gonna be there in place, which we are intending to do. Besides that, we're adherence to Robert's Rule of Order, which is a very formal legislative procedure, like dated right here. So we're gonna follow that. And we have a voting and decisions. All council members maintain a voting right. Whatever decision are gonna be made from the council is gonna have to be gone through a voting procedure throughout the council members. It doesn't matter if he's the president, vice president, or whatever, everybody has to vote on it. And we require the majority. The president remains neutral and voting to break the ties, just like every other council. Next. Finally, we're gonna partner with educators, because besides listening to the students, we have to listen to the educators too, as this has happened like with the grading scale. We just can't listen to students because they always want some room for themselves, but at the same time, we should listen to educators. So for that, we're gonna go to PDs and we're gonna have our council members tell the solutions that the student want, at the same time, listen to the educators, what they want, and we're gonna find something that correlates with both. Next.
And that's what this blueprint is really about. Student voice, student leadership, student opportunity. We're not trying to change everything overnight. We are starting something that students, teachers, and district leadership can build together because our school belongs to all of us. And if we are going to make them better, we should build that future together. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you so much.
You guys have any questions for us? Or
Any questions?
How do you guys pick your members? Is it like voting throughout the whole school?
Nope.
Or
This
is
is
it
our
volunteer?
first year of this council, so I was the very first member of this council. I recommended the students, and
Okay.
they went through a process. Miss Heather, she went through them, checked everything, then they were, they got into the board.
So besides that, I want to add on, as we mentioned, it's not gonna be like student vote. Like if you are just popular in school, it doesn't matter. We will see it at different accomplishments, different fields, because we want variety in our members. Like we want somebody from athletics, somebody from arts club, chess club, and different kind of things, so that we can hear everybody, not just the popular.
It's just not me that I'm recommending my friends. It's just we're recommending the people who actually put in the work and prioritize this council and who are willing to put in that effort for this school district and this council.
Is there any qualification that you're looking for students?
The certain qualifications that we are currently looking for is speaking skills, and they're willing to prioritize this council over everything else and willing to work with you guys and the district to bring about change.
Does behavior or grades is involved?
Yes,
That does evolve, because when you evaluate a student, if their GPA is low, you can understand they never be that good or something. If it was athletics, that's a different thing, but when you go public policy and you wanna serve your school district, first you need to serve yourself.
So you have like a GPA requirement and you have age requirements that can stop or do this.
it's as far as right now, it's based for only high school students.
Right.
Just because it's our first year, we don't have any GPA requirements yet. We'll look into that and have a certain amount of GPA that you have to be to part of this council.
So this representation is strictly for the high school, not for like the middle school and elementary?
Just for now.
Just for now.
But we would be going into middle school, elementary schools and we'll be talking to them and asking about their concerns and we'll be working with them too.
Yeah, they'll still be addressing issues throughout the school district.
Anybody else?
So who came up with this idea or this council?
It was me and Mrs. Heather. We both met before and talked about it and came up with this idea.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank
Future
you.
leader right there.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we got our interim superintendent.
All right. Yes, yeah, thanks. All right, so. Next slide, please. Okay, so infrastructure grants, the state has been providing some infrastructure grants for the last several years. Some of them are competitive, some are not. For instance, we've received 3 state infrastructure grants since 24-25. 2 were competitive and 1 was a state aid grant, and I'll describe them all. Go to the next slide, please.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Okay, let's bring it
Thank
down.
you.
Okay. Yep. All right. So, as I said, in 24-25, we actually received we received 2 grants. The first one was 12A, was a competitive grant. We received $8.6 million. This was to complete the ESSER-funded HVAC, window, and asbestos removal. And without this grant, the district would not have been able to complete the HVAC or window projects at DE and the high school. This requires a 2-to-1 match, and to date, we have spent almost $5 million on the state grant and $2.5 million in local funds.
What makes it competitive? Is that because you have to match or?
Oh, good question, sorry. So it's competitive in your application.
Oh, okay.
So I will go a little bit more into it in the 12E, but I can mention it right now. For a lot of these competitive grants, you have to be at what's called band 4 or higher, and that goes on your social economics of your district. And then also for 12E, you had to have not passed a bond or be able to pass a bond, and one more requirement. I'll get that in 12E.
So that's what makes it competitive. is
Yes.
When you have,
Yes.
when there's requirements for it.
Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the 12E grant, because that was very competitive grant, so.
So when you say 2-to-1 match, does that means we get $2 for every $1 we put in?
Yep, and that's where we've spent 5 million to date and 2.5 million. And this is just the detail of that. Go to the next one, please. All right, then and these are all 12, so sometimes they become a little bit confusing, but the 12D3E grant, again, we received that at the beginning of 24-25. That was $1 million through state aid. State approved projects for the high school bathrooms, the auditorium, and the media center. When we talked to the board and students, the most immediate project was the bathrooms, because the bathrooms were leaking from the second floor to the first floor. So we completed that project in the summer of 2025 at a cost of just over $700,000. Remaining grant funds are about $300,000, and the remaining projects right now is the high school auditorium and the media center. And I'll come back to that once we do the 12E grants. A little bit more on that. So the planning process for the that grant actually started in January 15 of 25 with a student planning meeting. Both projects right now remain in our bi-weekly project planning agenda meetings. We don't do a lot on them because we didn't have funding. With funding available for the auditorium through 12E, Media Center project will be planned for summer of 2027.
So basically that 300 plus whatever the 12E grant was will go towards the auditorium and the media center?
No, so the 12E does not allow us to do the media center.
Oh,
But the 12E allows for the auditorium. So we're gonna take that 300, apply it to the media center at this point,
all right.
and then 12E will be the auditorium.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next one, please. Okay, so the 12E State Aid Infrastructure Grant, which we just recently received, was a highly competitive grant. Grant requests of approximately $1.8 billion were submitted. MDE awarded a total of $224,000 to 31 school districts. So that is a 16.5% grant request funded.
You mean 224 million
200, yeah, I'm sorry, what did I say?
thousand?
Oh, yeah, 224 million, thanks. District applied for 35 million. We received just over 11 million, which is 31.4%, which is pretty good. Requirements for this, you had to have participated in what was the 11-wide, district-wide study. It was an infrastructure study performed around the state by, I think it was Plant Moran and MDE. And again, this is economic band 4 or higher, and you had to demonstrate the inability to pass a bond. So we actually were doing work on this before. We added district studies to this. We performed a capital assessment plan identifying over $130 million in projects for the district. And we also performed a roofing study, both of which were we used in applying for this grant. So the approved state projects are the secure entry vestibules, replace interior doors and hardware, fire alarms, public address systems, auditorium improvements, visitor bleachers, roofing, playground surfaces. And I think you go to the next one, please. Okay. So where the projects are approved. So secure vestibule is at the high school, Horizon High School, and Dickinson East. Replace interior doors and hardware at the high school, KMS Dickinson West. Fire alarms at the high school, Dickinson East, Taubeda, and ECE. And PAs at the high school, Dickinson East, Taubeda, and ECE. Go to the next one, please. And then auditorium improvements, of course, at the high school, visitor bleachers at the high school, community center, roofing, Taubeda, and playground surfaces at Taubeda, ECE, and Holbrook. And then if you go to the next one, I believe we have the grant funding by building. You can see the high school has the majority, almost $6.9 million. And projects are scheduled, so we've met, and we have been doing work, as I said, with our architect and construction staff consultants. So summer of 2027, we're looking at the high school, the secure entry, the auditorium, visitor bleachers, and media centers from the 12D3E funds I mentioned earlier, fire alarms and PAs at high school, Dickinson East, Taubeda, and ECE, and roofing at Taubeda, and playgrounds at Taubeda, ECE, and Holbrook. Summer of 2028, we'll do electrical upgrades at the high school, Dickinson East, ECE, Taubeda, secure entrances at Horizon, Dickinson East, and interior door replacement at the high school and KMS in Dickinson West.
This is in 27.
That's 28.
Oh, 28.
I'm sorry. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
So we will continue to monitor state infrastructure grants. because as I mentioned, we had over $130 million from our study that we performed a couple years ago. So we do have more needs, but, you know, some of the projects like the auditorium, we didn't think we were gonna get funded for that, because it was really health and safety. But we got that, we got the visitor bleachers, so now we'll be able to, you know, match the home bleachers. Those are positives. So, and the auditorium, because we had started on that, there's potential that we can bid that out and start work in the spring. And what we had talked about is closing off both hallways and actually doing the work while school is in session. So, and by doing that, you can get lower bid prices because the summer, of course, is the big construction period. Contractors look for, you know, if they can get work during the school, you usually get a better price because they want their staff out doing work.
It's not gonna be a lot of noise and
Yeah,
distracted.
Distracted.
Well, you know, if it's noise, it'd be done after hours. You would have to do the work, you would have to plan the work to minimize that.
So for the, so the 130 million is total repairs or reconstruction for all the buildings in
Yeah.
HPS, right?
Yeah. And that's not an immediate need. I mean, we did that study in
No,
order to create the
you just
10-year
did
plan.
everything.
Yeah.
You included everything.
Yeah.
So I guess this 11 million that we're using to fix everything, is that 130 before or after? The 11.
That is before.
So essentially at this point we would need 119 to fix everything else.
Yeah, good way to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you take the 8.6, maybe it's 110.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Then if you take our matching, which is 4.3, maybe it's 1.6.
Well, I'm saying like, you know, sorry, I look at it as like a checklist, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it is.
Okay.
The list that, I know there's like a long list that you all, because of the surveys you all put together.
Yeah.
Did they prioritize like what they would want to fund? Is that how that was?
Yeah, we had nothing to do with that. We put in the application, the grant application, and then what they would do is they would take the 11Y study. This is what I think happened. Then they would match it to like what is in year 1, 2, 3, and then allocate that way. Which we were sort of surprised because we thought we were going to get a lot of roofing work. We got a very small amount at Talbeda. I think it's $700,000 in roofing.
And I have one more question. So I know there was like earlier funding for like the HVAC system, right?
Yeah.
But I know there's been issues with them like throughout the school year, right? Where it hasn't been working at times when there's like some of the hot days. So I was just wondering like to improve that, does that have to be like taken from these funds or how does that?
No, that's not necessarily improvements. That's getting the contractors back. You have, you know, a year to 2-year adjustment period.
Mhm.
And so with the HVAC systems, you're required to bring in outside air. And that takes a lot of getting used to because, you know, as you're bringing in outside air, I think it's 6 times an hour. That is to create fresh air. And that's why they created an ESSER because of COVID.
So that one where it sounds like it's being worked on to make sure that the
Yeah.
HVAC is.
Yeah, we have our contractors, we call them back. It's on a warranty.
Okay.
It should be done this week.
The high school, yeah, will be done this year. Again, that's gonna be, you know, throughout the year, adjusting. That's, it's a big area.
Only the high school?
I'm sorry.
Only the high school, you said?
Well, DE was last year they finished.
Yeah, we
And
finished
then-
the,
About
been completed.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
the high
that-
school's
I
our
think-
last.
Yeah, that was the last one, yeah. So they should have, like, they should be finishing up right now. Like,
Yeah, they are.
It's done before school starts.
And force school starts, okay.
Alright, next we have our financial report.
Okay.
Jim again.
Maybe Cindy.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Cindy. Next slide, please. So, financial information presented is based on an example provided by the board president and treasurer. Met with them, they gave me an example of what they were looking for. As we go through this or after, we're certainly open to suggestions for improvements, for future presentations. So, if you think of something, just let us know. So the first slide here presents a summary overview of the years 2019-20 through budget of 27. 2019 through 20 and 24-25, we show the original budget, final amended budget, and the actual. 2025-26 shows the original budget, final amended budget, and the actual expenditures to date as of August 10th. So we created these Monday to get the latest information. We had a check run, so we tried to get everything in. So part of this is the business office is still closing 25-26 to prepare for the audit. And at year end, schools do what is called a modified accrual basis accounting. So what this has is a 60-day measurement period. 60 days, so you start from July 1st, you go through the end of August, and then you try to take any expenditures, any revenues that are received that apply to the prior year and put them into the financials for 25-26. And then whatever is not received, you record as a deferral or an accounts receivable. You can correct me if I'm wrong on anything.
It's very high level summary, but yes.
Okay, all right.
That's it.
26-27 is the board approved original budget. And if you look at a high level, we don't have it in red, but based on current entries recorded, the district is under budget on revenues and expenditures, but this will vary as transactions are received and recorded up through the end of August. Okay. And then if you go to the next slide, please. This is just making it a little bit larger to see. I didn't know how everything would show for the audience. Then the next slide, please.
Well, let's just go back to that last one.
Sure.
The thing that I'm trying to understand is when we do the final budget, it should be relatively close to the actual.
Yep.
So it's not really a good feature that we're, whether we're over or we're under, we're off by a lot. And I see that there's an explanation here for 2024 because of what you just said. You know, you didn't capture that in the right year, so you have to move it.
You deferred it to the
Yeah,
following.
you have to move it to the next year, which is gonna throw you completely off. But if we did our final budget just at the end of June, and then we're still $2.5 million off of where we thought we were, because isn't that what the final budget is, when we think we are?
The 4.8 million.
Yeah,
Right now, the 2.3 just represents everything that's been booked to date. So we still have journal entries to book, we still are receiving revenue.
Yeah, so we primarily work on a cash basis, so this is a little bit of accounting here, but that just means that we're reporting things throughout the year as we either receive them in or spend them. And then what happens at the end of June is we have to now say, okay, what else is out there, as Jim had mentioned, that is gonna happen after the year that needs to be reported back. And so we're still working on that. And so once we get all of our identified expenditures, then we have to go through and balance all of our grants so that the revenue expenditure, they offset and net to zero. And those entries we're still working on those entries. So.
And then if you go back to prior years, so the final budget in 24-25, that's when we had a lot of ESSER funds for capital projects. So what we did is we budgeted, and when we hit 15 million, we budgeted 15 million. When we had the 35 million, we budgeted 35 million. We didn't go back and say, oh, we only spent 5 million, so we're gonna adjust that down to 30. We just left it at gross so we could track the capital expenditures in ESSER. And some of that is also with the 8.6 million that we received. So we received that near the end of fiscal year. So we only had, June is really for construction costs. But we tried to get that closer to try to get the budget a little more accurate. And
So this is 25 you're talking about, or 26? With the 8.6 received near the end of the fiscal year?
that would be 25. Yeah. And I believe we also had ESSER funds because we had the extension. Yeah.
Some of the timeline is a little bit blurry to me, but yes, those are all very true statements. When we receive the money, typically we budget for it in its entirety and it's at least first year. And then after that, it starts getting adjusted to actually what's remaining. And if we don't spend it in the second year, that will then roll over to the third year. And so it just sort of like scales down, but typically until it's all spent, there could be overages, budgeted overages. Or under budgets, I guess, is how it would show.
Yeah, Joe under.
So as you've shown, I guess you said you still have till the end of August to include more expenditures and also revenue.
Yes. Yes.
So like, would that be grants or something like that?
Exactly. So grants, it could be Title I because we pay teachers through the end of August.
Okay.
So we have to wait until the expenditure's made in order to ask
To
for
offset.
reimbursement.
Okay.
And then that's also how you can get deferred revenue because depending on when the pay date is in August, you may not be able to get it in before the end of August. So you put it in for September for reimbursement. You would defer the revenue and record it in the next year. So that's how grants could be off because you would record the expenditure but not the
But
revenue.
not the revenue, okay.
And vice versa. So the next year, your deferred revenue is gonna come in and you might have
Less
fewer expenditures.
So essentially, the ending balance as of right now we have is 8 million.
If everything was recorded right now, we're closing, we didn't have deferred revenue or anything, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
8
but that's gonna change.
to higher, right?
It's gonna change. So, any other questions on that? No? Okay. Sorry, so again, I put everything up here. We matched this to the audit reports and to the system. And if you look in this column here, you can see where the functions, so this is how the board approves the budget. You approve it by function, okay? And this is the general fund and federal projects. So G and X fund, it's the total. And if you look, let's take basic construction. Right now, we're under budget by $853,000. So that's a good thing. Hopefully that is one, no, we did accrue payroll, right?
We accrued contract payables, but we're still working on the hourly, so.
Okay, but so that shouldn't affect
It shouldn't,
basic.
I'm assuming that it won't be impacted unless there were timesheets that came in late.
So the ones in the parentheses.
Are good.
Oh,
They're
that's
under,
good, okay.
Well, they're under budget, but,
right now.
right, but it's not just that. And if you look at the original budget versus the actual final budget, they're different, so. Particularly, I guess I have a question on this other added needs, which I don't really understand what other added needs are, 125 and 127.
Those two are what 125 is considered compensatory education, and that's where the majority of our Title I expenditures are. So those would be supports for students who are not academically where they need to be, but they are not special education students. So that's the additional supports. I guess what's the terminology, tier two or tier 3 type supports that we would provide students would be under there. And then function 127 is vocational education, so our CTE program.
And so one of the, if you're asking about the increase, how it went up to 10.4 from 6, we have spent considerable amount of time over the past 2 years getting things coded into grants.
Right, but if you look at the original budget,
Mhm.
if the original budget is 10.4, right? Okay, so we went from 6 and we said, no, we need 10.4. And then we moved it down here in the final budget to 8.3, and we're still 2 under that, which puts us basically back to the 6.
No, this is actual, the 8.4 is actual
Okay.
right now.
So we're up 2 though, not 4.
Yeah,
So we
2
still
under.
have 2 million
Yeah,
left.
okay.
Yeah.
That hasn't been spent yet.
Well, according to the final budget, right? But I'm saying we didn't increase as much as we thought we were going to.
True, right. And that would have been based on grant allocations that we received. So with the grants, we budget everything. So you budget to 0 on grants. So, and that's where you can see some swings if you don't fully expend your grants.
So
But
the,
you can have, I'm sorry, because you can have carryover on grants up to 15% per year on Title I, and you can have more in other grants. So, and some grants run different times, that might be a January 1 through December 31st, or, federal grants go to September 30th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry.
no, your explanation is part of my question is gonna be, like, how much of, I know we still have like, the end of this month to see whatever the expenditures are before these numbers get final.
Mhm.
How much in the red can we carry over into the next year? Like, that remains, or like, do we lose it if we're not using it?
So only in Title I. In Title I, you can only carry over up to 15%. And that's where we're getting to that 15% amount. But that would probably have Title II, III, IV, you have Section 41. A lot of grants would have compensatory education, sorry. Does that help?
Mostly
Most-
mostly I'm just like, so it's sounding like most of it can be largely carried over, or at least 15% of it.
Yeah.
Of what
On
we have
Title I,
on Title
which
I.
is our largest grant.
So the other column that's pretty far off is instructional support, 22X. So how did we end up 2 million under budget on that?
So that
22X, yeah.
that is improvement of instruction, and that would be where like our instructional coaches would get charged. And then our educational leaders like Heather Kuhneman, she gets charged there, and people who oversee those instructional divisions, I'm gonna say. That's also where professional development for our teachers gets charged to, depending on what professional development runs and when it runs. Like, I know we have money in our budgets this grant award year, but they won't occur until August for the PD week. So there are gonna be some dollar amounts that remain because we still have another 3 months to spend on them. And as I had mentioned earlier, when we budget for a grant in any given year, we budget for the full grant, knowing that there will be some carryover expenditures there.
And the optional PD runs 400,000, so it's a sizable amount. And again, that's like the third week in August, so we have some big grant expenditures still coming.
Expenditures, okay.
Yeah.
So,
But you would match the revenue to those expenditures.
so, the only question I have is, like, you guys, I don't wanna say plumb, but like, when you guys do, the budget,
Mhm.
like, is there a way where we're not operating at a deficit?
Yeah, you don't want to operate a deficit.
So, because I'm assuming that deficit is in the parentheses, right?
Yes, yes.
So that means that for 25, 26, and then the actual, we went from operating at a 4.8 million deficit to a almost 2.3, right?
Current,
Current.
yes.
And expectation is gonna be zero, like the operating deficit, or
It won't be zero because some of this has the 8.6, whatever the remainder of the $8.6 million grant was. If you,
oh, that's where the deficit's coming from, is because we have to match that,
yeah,
and we're not getting reimbursed for it.
right. That's $2.5 million we've spent.
What's
Okay.
that for?
That's for the
HVAC.
HVAC for the 12. I think it was the 12D grant.
Yeah,
12A.
12,
12A.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, 12A grant. Sorry, I wrote it down.
You're doing better than me.
Yeah. So okay, so basically that 2.3 is expected because of the grant. Like
Yeah.
you know that.
Well, we knew going in that we could spend up to $4.3 million to match the 8.6. Because we had a total of 8.6, and we were, if we spent 12.9 million, 4.3 of it would have been district local.
Oh, okay.
funds.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we started out with a deficit, because we knew we were gonna be spending money on that capital project that we have no revenue coming in for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like you expected the deficit because of the grant.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm still looking at our budget for 26, 27.
Okay.
And according to this, we have planned for spending $2 million more than we're taking in.
Bringing in.
Right, and when I look at the numbers for the budget, and I see that the actual here is 71,505 for 25, 26, and then I look and see that we're planning for 75 million, that's $4 million difference right there.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, we're spending $2 million more than what I think is our inflated revenue number. So doesn't put us in a very good position.
No, I mean, we plan for a deficit spend right now, but some of that is we're waiting for. So at the beginning of school, you have to do staffing, you have to do enrollment, figure out staffing, what sections, the staffing you're gonna have by building. And then also we'll have to go back and look at state aid, where that's at. There's a lot of moving parts that, this is our best guess at the start of the year. Things will change based on, who quits, who's hired, enrollment. Right now we're looking at sections to see if, we need 24 sections in a building or 23 sections. So there's a lot that has to be done dependent on start of school. And then when we do the October count, That's the big thing when we get our student enrollment, actually our student attendance.
Then you know the like a majority of
money's
your
coming
budget,
in.
how much, like you got revenue coming in.
Exactly, and that's why we usually come back in January or February with amendment, because you take that enrollment and then, like the state could say, like, I'll use 31 AA, you get $75 per pupil. Well, that's based on our estimated pupils right now. So if we're down 100 or up 100, we're gonna get more revenue and more to spend. So I'd have to figure out that budget. And again, that's why we wait until after student count.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah, it's a lot of,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't envy them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a first time out. We can refine it, we can look at ways to improve presentation.
So what I guess what I realized, like, from all the questions, it's like, I don't want to say, I don't want to portray it in a bad way, but it's like, like for 26, 27, I don't want to say you're guessing, but it's you're doing an estimation. And then once you get your numbers, which is, everything's always like, later, and like, 3 months later, then we have the actual numbers. Then 3 months later, then we actually know what we spent. And then by the end of the year, you still have to wait till August so you can get finalized the previous budget. And it's just a never ending, cycle.
Yeah.
So,
It is,
yeah, that's tough. Okay.
it is. Very tough.
Yeah. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
We have more.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, so, can you go to the athletics, please? Maybe go to the first slide, please. So, again, financial information, was presented to me by the president treasurer. So each month, we would select a different function to highlight to review. This month is going to be the athletic and other pupil services, which is function 2913 and 99. So I know when we present this in the budget, there are actually 3 function codes. I'm sorry, I'll go to this first. So, just a high overview, coaches, just so you understand where we're paying people from and how we pay them. So coaches' stipends are identified in Schedule B of the HFT contract. Schedule B was negotiated prior to the 25-26 school year with increases to coaches' stipends. The Schedule B increases were intended to encourage district employees to fill those positions. So the idea is, you see your teacher throughout the day, then you go to practice, you see your teacher again, your teacher knows you. So each year, what we started with this year is HR meets with the high school principal, middle school principal, and athletic director to identify Schedule B activities for the year. Positions are posted internally first, and then for district employees, and if we don't get district employees, the positions are posted externally. So the goal of adding new sports in 24-25, which I'll go over, in 25-26, was to provide more opportunities to students. So this also increased the athletic department costs. Those were track and field, bowling, golf, tennis, flag football, and we had elementary last year, grades 3 through 5. So next slide, please. All right, and this is taking us back to the budget, and also where I said that we have 3 function codes. So athletics is function code 293. And then we have 291 and 299. So 291 is really a new one where we're paying non-athletic stipends. And then the 299 is workers' comp unemployment. So if you go to the next slide, please. we come down to a net athletic cost, still increasing over the years. And then if you go to the next one, please. So we looked at what the major changes were, had Dennis Foster and Jalen help with this. And if you go back through the years, you really look at what the increases are coming. So internal coaches stipends in 24-25, that would be the top line, 28,000. This year was about 42,000. So we are accomplishing a goal of bringing coaches in. You go to purchase services, so our external coaches go through EduStaff. And so now with EduStaff is where we get our subs also. They charge a 17 or 18% fee on top of that. So you can see that our high school has gone up, middle school pretty much the same. Elementary was the one area where the 13,589 was new this year. And then transportation is a big cost increase. And that occurred in 24-25 and 25-26. We went from $24,000 up to $82,600 last year. And then this year, about $65,000. Then the capital equipment, that was the board approved Luxedo, the projector that we purchased. You got the next slide, please. Okay, this is a comparison of last year to this year. You can see that we had a total of 20 sports this year, 54 positions, 44 were paid positions, and 10 were volunteer positions. So based on fall, winter, spring sports, high school stipends went from 96 up to 146,885. The middle schools had 13 sports, 26 positions, 24 paid positions, and 2 volunteer no pay positions. And they're about the same. It's about 33,000 and about 39,000. And again, elementary was new this year, and so the stipends went from about 129 to almost $200,000. Next slide, please. And then we just listed all the sports for last year, this year, and you can see where there's no pay or a line here. We have new sports. You just go through, please.
This is kind of deceptive because these numbers are, don't count FICA and they don't count retirement.
Right.
So these numbers are actually 40% higher than we're seeing for the contract. And I went through this, and the thing is, when we wrote the new contract, there were increases anywhere from, it seems that all the middle school coaches got a 2% increase, but the high school coaches got anything from a 31% to a 52% increase, which is a lot.
Okay. Well, what we were doing is looking at sports in our other districts and what other districts pay for a football coach or a basketball coach or a baseball coach. So we were
For high
patterning.
school versus middle
Yes,
school.
yes, we were patterning after that.
But we spend the majority of our money on high school sports.
Well, we have majority of our sports are high school sports.
Right.
Yeah.
But that means that we're giving all our opportunity at the high school level instead of giving it at lower levels.
We can, if the board asks for or wants an increase in middle school, we can look at that. We tried that with elementary. But now we're actually transitioning the elementary 3 through 5 to the rec department. So the rec department is going to operate more of a city program where our students can go, because we had some schools like Holbrook couldn't field a team. This way, we'll have a bus pick them up after school. They'll take them there for practice, and then they'll take them back and drop them off, and then we'll have games on the weekends for those. And they'll be able to you know, it's another way that we can have our third graders, maybe a third grader from Holbrook's playing with a third grader from DW. You know, it's just a
I
way
see.
to,
Because Holbrook didn't have enough players, but Dickinson or West or East did, and
yes,
he can't be a part of. Okay.
yeah,
I
yes.
see.
Where, you know, like Holbrook maybe had 3 kids,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so,
So is it just like the kids are just not interested, or
I don't know offhand. You know,
It was something new, first year.
yeah,
no? I was just
Yeah.
curious.
It's just-
I'm sure it was offered,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
the opportunity was there. It's not like it wasn't. but-
right, right.
No, it was offered. I think we kind of pushed it, too fast, and should have been there more planning, ahead of time and getting coaches and stuff like that. So
Taubeda had a
So-
really robust program.
Yeah.
But
For I think it was basketball.
yeah,
Right.
it was
basketball,
yeah.
soccer, yeah, they had it all.
Oh yeah, soccer as well.
So, if you want to scroll through, please. Excuse me. Okay, so I just want to highlight, well, I don't want to highlight, but I want to provide an example of what costs of new sports are. So in 24, 25, as I mentioned, we had new sports, mostly. So we had golf, tennis. Unfortunately, the cost for tennis before we had the courts and golf, we have to transport our students every day for practice. So this is, if you look down, we had boys golf in 24, 25. To transport them to practice was $6,444. To go to matches was almost $2,600. Then, of course, for golf, you have fees, greens fees. We had equipment to start up, so 11,500. Some reason we didn't pay the coach that year. Maybe it was in this year, I'm not sure. But to operate boys golf last year was $25,000, and then boys and girls tennis, the same thing. We didn't have tennis courts, so we had to transport them to practice and to games. And then this year we added girls golf. That added more transportation and more greens fees. So just those sports alone, you had an increase to the athletic budget of 64,000 and 76,000 this past year. And now those totals for the coaches do include FICA and retirement.
So with the renovations that we're doing with HPC,
Mhm.
is that gonna help in any way, or is it?
It will help with tennis.
Oh, just tennis, not
Yeah.
golf.
We're not building a golf course. But what we are doing is because of the transportation. I mean, if you look at transportation, for a year, it's about $12,000. I asked AD Foster to look into a golf simulator. So, if we get a golf simulator, I think it'd be really advantageous for the coaching of our students, because then they can come in, the coach can watch them actually, really help them with their swing. They'll have the opportunity. I mean, you have
Does
several thousand courses that you can play.
I guess does the golf simulator actually translate into the real world? Where
It does.
Yeah.
Well, I've never,
Yeah,
you
like golfers will go over the winter, and
Oh,
you'll go
okay.
to they have simulators places,
right.
and then you play like Torrey Pines, or you play Pebble Beach or something like that.
Yeah.
And it really lets you hone your swing, really does, because it also takes pictures of your swing, so you'll be able to analyze your swing. I think it's I look at.
strictly for high school students.
Are you a golfer?
No.
No. I look at it as, you might, depending on the cost, I mean, we want it to be cost neutral. We want to look at what the transportation is, and, also the greens fees compared to what the simulator is.
Okay, yeah, that's, yeah.
And it's not that they're going to do that every single day. I mean, because you still have to your point, you still have to get out to the course.
Yeah.
I mean, this will show that you hook or you slice or something, but it's not like, well, you hit a real ball. So it is the feel of a real ball.
Yeah, just a side question. So, we're going over athletics right now, right?
Yeah.
And essentially, you're going through the numbers and all that. So, the transportation that you have over here in the budget, is that in transportation or is that in athletics?
It's in athletics.
Okay, all right.
So what's the difference between purchase services and contract coaches?
They are purchase services. It's,
Well, there's two different lines. Contract coaches in this is 131,000 and purchase services is 63.
can you go back?
No, it's not on this.
Oh, it's not on.
No, it's on the breakout of the entire athletic. I sent it to you guys earlier in the week.
Should all be either 3,000 or 4,000 purchase service, right?
Yeah, I think the difference is we broke out contract coaches just so that you could see what the cost of the coaches were compared to the cost of things like greens fees and other, services that we have to pay for in order to go through the sports programs or to support the sports programs.
So going back to elementary, topic of the students going to the rec center, how does the board feel? Is that
Love it.
a good route, or
Love
should
it.
we stick to each building having a team? Like we have Holbrook Hawk, Dale
No,
Tigers.
I think it's better if they do it together.
Yeah, I agree.
It's more, you have more kids to pick from.
Yeah.
I did recreation sports here when I was a kid. It was great. 'Cause you got to meet people from all different
Yeah.
schools and you got to,
Is it during the school year or is it like?
It's during the school year.
And then, do they face other schools, obviously? or-
Well, I think not.
Well,
So how,
Maybe from other
what are they
districts.
gonna do?
so it's gonna be open to all, because it's a rec program, it's open to all city students,
right,
grades 3 through 5.
so it's all kids.
So, if you
So
have,
they'll
They
just
just
play
play
amongst
each
each
other.
other,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
little,
And
I
then-
think it's best to have it be like kids who actually want to be there rather than be trying to take the bodies that are in the building and forcing them to do the things that, well, we need this amount of people to put the team together.
Yeah.
Like, you want to have buy-in, right? Like, you want kids to be invested.
Yeah.
I've already discussed this with the athletic director and Jim already, and I'm on board with it. I just wanted the board.
Yeah.
to-
No, yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So-
I think like as she mentioned
I
that
mean, there's a
the ones that
potential,
wanna actually be there
Yeah.
will show up, you know?
there's a potential of maybe having an all-star team, maybe that goes out and plays other schools or, I don't know what that looks like. I mean, right now, we just want to provide the opportunity for the kids in the city to do it.
Do something.
And we're a
Program.
small city,
Yeah.
so.
And then, middle school will remain.
That's middle school, yeah.
Yeah, I think middle school should
levels.
remain as well.
Okay, good.
Is there a cap in how many like 3 to 5 kids can be involved?
Okay. Whoever signs up for it,
But it's like first come first serve, or is it like unlimited?
it'd be unlimited,
And it's both male and female.
Well, we're gonna have different seasons. So we'll have a male season and then a female season.
Okay.
So
Kind of like they do
there's,
with golf and tennis.
Okay,
yeah,
I see.
they're separate
Separate.
times.
Okay, okay.
The other question I had was, I don't remember.
Well, and plus, sorry, but it's gonna be better for parents too, because I know if you go to Cloud Brady, you're standing on the sidelines there. This way you'll be able to sit in bleachers and you'll be able to watch like a game. So, and I think it'll be a little bit more organized. Probably, we'll get DJ out there with some of his basketball players, help with, skills drills and stuff like that. Look at it as sort of like a feeder program.
Yeah.
Going up.
It's cost saving too, transportation as well as taking care of.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What's outreach like in the schools, like with the parents or families?
Outreach.
Or is the recreation department handling that? Like, how do they find out about
Well, the rec department usually
Yeah.
publishes like at the beginning of the weed season.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
publish like
Kids will
a
know.
flyer to and delivered by mail to all residents in town.
Yeah, I feel like not everybody always looks at stuff like that. There's probably like a select group of people who look at it. So I'm just wondering, has there been any other like the people are gonna look at it are gonna look at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the athletic director is gonna share it to administrators and then the
And then they could
administrators take
give
the
it to the
initiative to pass
students,
it to the
yeah.
students.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can send it
Yeah.
to parents.
No, that's a
too.
good one.
Yeah.
And
But-
then
Yeah,
it
it's
should
a
go
good
that way.
point, cause you know, that's how I found out, like, you know, with, soccer a
Right.
couple years ago,
Yep.
with, Coach Ray.
But it'd sort of be up to the, rec department to get non-students, information out to them.
Oh, I just meant like, even if there were students, like not everybody's, they get maybe something in the mail or online, they may not look at it
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So like some form of communication, like you had just said on
Yeah.
the blog.
The rec department has a Facebook page, I think, right?
Yeah.
They probably have an Insta page too.
Yeah.
So I mean, social media.
I mean, I guess I'm thinking about the folks who are, let's say they're not going to be reading it in like English or other language, who are not, like if it's families who need to get their kids in, they're not online savvy. So just it seems like a really, big thing that,
Mhm.
to get folks involved. So I was just wondering, instead of just like one form of outreach, what are the other different ways to get, families that wouldn't know?
Well, we could put it in the local paper, we could put it in the Yemeni American News, have it interpreted. So, again, we could have rec department put it in there
Yeah.
as an advertisement.
Yeah. I like to also see a lot of sports swag in all variety of sports. I do see basketball, football, and tennis. I see that. I like to see it in soccer, track, all that. So a lot of students or athletes ask me for soccer. So hopefully we can get that, DJ. Appreciate it. They're willing to pay too. So. All right. Other than that, I think we're good with athletics.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to Dr. Cobb.
Oh, is there a way to like do?
Oh, can she click through?
And is there a way to
Make
Make
it
it
big.
bigger.
shot like
Full screen.
yeah, present?
Yes.
Slideshow.
There we go.
It's at 5.
Am I able to click?
I don't think you'll be able to.
Oh, okay.
Is there a wireless keyboard that can come over here? I've seen a keyboard
That's
sitting
what
over
we used to
here.
do.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Which here's some keys.
Oh. Alrighty, good evening. I'm Dr. Cobb and I just wanted to just give a department update. I know that the Special Services Department has come up in some board meetings recently. I've watched them, but I wasn't able to be present, so I just wanted to kind of give an update. So I'll start with some introductions. I am Dr. Tiffany Cobb. I'm the Executive Director of Special Services. I am in my 21st year of education. I joined Hamtramck Public Schools in November of 2023. I came to just provide strategic leadership for the district special education programs and services. I actually was asked to interview and apply by Wayne Risa. I got a call just saying, hey, they need a strong director. You should go out for it. I did. I love it here. I'm excited to be here. I do work collaboratively with administrators, educators, families, community partners, just to make sure that we are ensuring students with disabilities that they receive a high quality education that's individualized to them. We have focused on strengthening our compliance, improving our instructional practices, expanding professional development, and just having meaningful partnerships with families. I know some of you guys are newer, but when I started, we there were a lot of concerns. There were a lot of concerns, and I'll kind of get into that a little later as well. But I do pride myself in the fact that I have built strong relationships with our families, and we have put a lot of great things in place. I'm committed to continuing to build learning environments where students have the opportunity to really grow. And then I just strongly believe in service, collaboration, and the belief that every child does deserve an exceptional experience. All right, so just to start off, my administrative assistant is Erica Johnson Kelly. She has served as the administrative assistant for the past 3 years. She came just before I did by a couple months. She has quite a few duties, and she is very strong, and she has a strong attention to detail, very organized, and committed to supporting our department. Jennifer Johnson Crudup, she supports our district as our ASD behavior specialist. She works closely with the school social workers and paraprofessionals. She's quite credentialed. She is actually also a certified autism spectrum disorder clinical specialist. So her expertise has helped in us running our classrooms that house students with autism. Ms. Judy Mills is one of our compliance managers. She too is well versed in special education. She is in her 25th year. She has been a special education teacher for many, many years. She is certified. She also has her admin cert, and she supports Dickinson East and KMS. Mrs. Sarah Mazur is in her 21st year. She had started here 2 years ago. She also is credentialed and has been a special education teacher. She is certified in SXI. She's worked in middle school, high school. She's worked in public and charter schools, and she supports in Dickinson West, Horizon, and the high school. Mrs. Sandra Jackson, this is her 18th year, again, very credentialed, certified in many areas, also has been a resource room teacher, and she supports at early childhood, early on, and she supports with our catamaran. And Mrs. Jatera Davis Griggs, she's in her 9th year of education. She is a licensed school social worker. She has served as a behavior interventionist. She has been an assistant principal, very well credentialed, and she supports Holbrook, Taubeda, and Hamtramck High School. So I just wanted, like I said, to kind of provide some information regarding some decisions that have been made, address some misconceptions that have been presented in a few of the board meetings, share some rationales behind some decisions, highlight improvements that we've made, and then reinforce just being transparent and why decisions are decisions. Some comments that I've heard in recent board meetings are that we are removing all paraprofessionals from self-contained classrooms, that we have reduced paraprofessionals to hire compliance managers, and then I also have heard the question of what's the plan for the special education department. So those are the main 3 things that we will address. So comment number 1, we are removing all paraprofessionals from self-contained classrooms. That is absolutely false. At the time that I arrived, we only had 1 self-contained class, and we had lots of students sitting in spaces in which were just not appropriate for them. So I opened up quite a few self-contained classrooms to make sure that our students were supported. And because we were trying to kind of stabilize things, we overstaffed many classrooms to make sure there was plenty of support. No self-contained classroom will lose all paraprofessionals. Self-contained classrooms will be guaranteed to have at least 2, which is more than what the regulations require. And if a classroom gets to 10, then they will have 3 paraprofessionals. Staffing decisions were based on student needs, enrollment, legal requirements, and then just being responsible with district resources. We reviewed the staffing, just looking at some historical staffing patterns. Classrooms serve anywhere from 8 to 9 students. On a rare occasion, they get to 10, but we don't see that often. Maybe this coming school year, we might get to 10, but as of now, we have not reached a class where there were 10 students. In fact, 10 students would be my absolute cap. That's a lot of students with the needs that we've been seeing. So within a class of 8 to 9 students, they were staffed with 1 teacher, and throughout the district, it was no consistency, but we've seen anywhere from 3 to 5 paraprofessionals in some classrooms. So some questions that I asked my team to ask, we kind of surveyed in buildings. Was the staffing aligned with student needs? Were the resources being used effectively? And is every adult actively engaged in instruction? We use those 3 key questions to kind of shift and guide how we move from there. When it came to the adult utilization, in many classrooms, multiple adults were observed sitting and chatting, drinking coffee, using phones, engaging in personal activities, not actively supporting instruction. This is in no way, shape, or form indicating that every paraprofessional were engaging in those behaviors, but it was observed and it was seen, and it had to be addressed. We do have outstanding paraprofessionals and individuals who support our students. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear there. But it didn't change the fact that we were seeing some of those behaviors that just needed to be redirected there. So with that, again, I had to ask, is staffing aligned with student needs? If we have individuals who have that much spare time, perhaps that need is not there. Are resources being used effectively? Is every adult actively engaged in instruction? I recognize that paraprofessionals have the hardest job in the district. It's a tough job, but at no means should individuals who are here to support students, especially with their behaviors and supporting the teacher, be sitting and have time to do things other than working with students. So the issue again, I saw was that the classrooms were overstaffed, which resulted in an adult utilization problem. We had a lot of adults for a few children. And it doesn't take away the fact that yes, some children do display behaviors. Some children do require some more eyes and a more hands-on approach. But we do have to make sure that every adult is supporting instruction, engaging students, and maximizing instructional time. So staffing decisions were made. Went through, looked at all the classrooms. Some classrooms, as I mentioned before, had up to 5 pairs. In a classroom where there are 8 students, 6 adults is a lot. So we looked at student enrollment, we looked at individual student needs, we looked at required level of support, and then we looked at the law. So MARS, which is our special education rule book, is what we use to guide everything that we do special ed. I just want to mention that this upcoming school year, we have been approved and budgeted for our very first Act 18 ASD classroom. So that's exciting. That was a process that we had to go through. And while we started the process thinking we were going to have 3 Act 18 classrooms, once going through the data, our students, in fact, are not severe enough. So Wayne Reese has supported us and helped us with identifying what we did qualify for, and we currently qualify for 1 ASD classroom. So up until this school year coming up, we have never operated an actual MARS designated ASD classroom. we operated, we opened up our self-contained classrooms, which were cross-categorical, so they housed multiple, students with multiple eligibilities. But the Act 18 has its own set of requirements, and now we have that one class, but according to Mars, we did our very best to follow the Mars rules and run and staff our classrooms according to Mars as if they were ASD classrooms. The way that they are currently they're a resource room, and a resource room program can actually have 23 students. Now we know a self-contained classroom with 23 students just is not. So I tried my best to follow Mars as best as I could, given our circumstances. And so what Mars says is for an ASD classroom, you need one teacher and 5 students and one para per 5 students. Wayne Risa, in fact, filled out a waiver and it was approved. So for Wayne Risa, you have one teacher and you have 2 paras if you have 6 or more students. So this suggests that for classrooms under 10, which is where I decided we would cap it, it can definitely be appropriately staffed with 1 teacher and 2 paraprofessionals. The purpose of a paraprofessional is to support students, but we want to make sure we are promoting student independence. Whenever we assign a student with a paraprofessional, it is supposed to be short-term. We're supposed to have a vision and an idea of eventually weaning the student off of a paraprofessional. Because all students, whether they have an IEP or not, are general education students first, and they have and deserve the same access as their non-disabled peers. So while we do recognize that a student may require additional support, it is never our goal to have that be long-term. So that's just what this slide is about. Paraprofessionals are not meant to be a permanent addition. Our goal is what students deserve: to build independence, to develop self-advocacy, to learn alongside their gen ed peers, to receive only the support that's educationally necessary, and to provide appropriate support, not maximum support. Paraprofessional support is considered a restrictive support, and at all times we have to think about, is our student receiving their least restrictive environment? Comment number 2 was that we reduced paraprofessionals to keep hiring compliance managers. I just want to say out loud that we have not hired a compliance manager in over a year. The compliance manager, one compliance manager left, so we filled that vacancy. I mentioned that. And then to hire a compliance manager always came before the board. Whenever there was a need for a compliance manager, I advocated for it. There was a need for compliance managers. We have not hired any again in over a year. Special education spending has increased primarily because we have a high number of paraprofessional staffs. I know everybody thinks we've gotten rid of paraprofessionals, but we have over 70 special education paraprofessionals currently in our district. So our responsibility is to consider our students' needs, our legal compliance, our evidence-based practice, our fiscal responsibility. Our decisions are based on the student need, the law, and data. It is not based on tradition or preference or comfort. Just to share with you guys a little bit about where we have come from. So when I came in November, there was one director, well, it was me, and there was one compliance manager. We were under Risa for requiring intensive support. I was meeting with her every week. It was tough. I walked into 37 state complaints, 7 lawsuits, 5 OCR complaints, and there were unmanageable behaviors in students, and we only had the one self-contained class. Today, yes, we do have 4 compliance managers and ASD behavior specialists, But we have 0 state complaints. We have 0 lawsuits. We have 0 OCR complaints. We have 11 K-12 self-contained classrooms, and we have 1 early childhood special education classroom. And one thing that I don't have on here is we also, we get notifications through Catamaran. They let us know when these things come up. They also let us know when we have been non-compliant. They let us know when our IEPs are untimely. When I started, we were at
I don't know what Catamaran is.
Oh, Catamaran is the state system.
Okay.
So not only do we use it for special education, but the district uses it for a variety of other things. I stay in my lane, so I only know the special ed parts. But it's used for anything state. But when we started our timely IEPs, Michigan requires 100% timely IEPs. No exceptions, 100%. When I started, we were at 84. The next year we were at 94. This year we're at 99. So while we're not at 100, we are moving in a fantastic direction. This is just to show you when I started some of the corrective actions and issues that were highlighted that we had to rectify. We did not have properly credentialed staff. We were not following the child find process. We were not following evaluation procedures. We were not following developments of IEPs. We lacked required participants. We were not offering our students a free and a public education in their least restrictive environment. And then we had a multitude of state complaints. So our accomplishments together, we have passed every audit and monitoring review. We have improved IEP quality. We have opted into a couple of programs. We utilize Goldbook to support with IEP writing. We also have TeachTown that we use in the curriculum that we use in our self-contained classrooms. We've reduced our overdue evaluations. We've expanded professional development. We've improved progress monitoring. We've increased family collaboration. We've successfully staffed extended school year. We've built stronger systems. We've reduced the amount of comp ed that's required to families. This year, another highlight is we only owed 2 students comp ed, and that was because there was a time period when we didn't have an OT. Years past, we owed comp ed for hours and hours and hours and hours and took all summer. And we have been acknowledged by the state and the county. Some state and county recognition. MDE, our department has been recognized for significant improvements made over the past 3 years. We continue to build a department that is compliant, student-centered, efficient, sustainable, focused on student outcomes. I wanted to share with you guys, just pass this around. They should be paperclip.
I know, but I read the
Is
bottom.
that the Dr. Trolley letter?
It's part of it in here.
Oh, I forwarded that.
Oh, okay. So this one is the top one when you get it. I did highlight some things because this first letter is a closeout letter from Wayne Risa that is dated 12/11/24. So in just 1 year, we were released from Risa's chokehold. So this letter is just an acknowledgement saying that the district has made significant progress by successfully completing the corrective action plans and is no longer in direct oversight of Wayne Risa. Also, we have just a monitoring report that shows we were a part of a desk audit and yielded no findings of non-compliance, and also no in the Catamaran report too, with no findings. So, we're doing big things. with the department. So that's us in a nutshell. Actually, this was number 3. The third request I heard was, what's the plan for the special education department? And our plan is to continue to build. Our plan is to continue to have a department that is compliant, that is student-centered, that is efficient, that is sustainable, and that is focused on student outcomes. So.
Well, congratulations and thank you.
I have some questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks for presenting this. I think it's, really good to hear the thought process, and to share it publicly. Like, we might know some stuff, but for it to be available publicly, I think it's really good. One question, and some of these are just maybe, I don't know, terminologies and kind of things. One question is, for folks that need like one-on-one service for IEPs, is that separate from the parapros, like the 2 parapros that would be in each room?
So we have a couple of things. We have quite a few students in gen ed who spend the larger majority of their day in a general education classroom who has a one-on-one. And it's because they are amongst a class of 20-something other students. There's one teacher, and they need that support. Even in that setting, it is not meant for them to be up on them all the time. The idea is eyes should be on them, support them as needed. But again, we want to promote independence. In a self-contained classroom, the amount of students is significantly reduced. So we're looking at 8, 9, possibly 10 students and 3 adults. So the guidance in there is you might require adult support, not necessarily a one-on-one. And I know in the IEPs it gets tricky. We do utilize the word adult support a lot. And out of the 4 adults that are in that space, it's expected that those 4 adults are supporting the 8 students. In ratios, that's average to 1 adult per 2 students. So yeah, there may be some outliers where you need more support. What we have realized at one of our buildings that has a lot of self-contained, and we have a lot of students in that particular building who is now at the point where they're being exposed more to gen ed. So what we realized in that setting is, yes, because now a para has to support that student in those settings. So we need a floater in that building to be able to kind of transition as need be. But it's still individualized, and it still has to be looked at on an individual basis. But we have to strengthen our paras to feel empowered that they can support two students to their one person. I think more training is necessary, and I know we do have some paraprofessional trainings coming up. I've sent them out for paraprofessional trainings. I've had Wayne Risa come in, because it's really about feeling like you can support. I understand, I'm a parent, I understand how it can feel overwhelming when students are up and moving and putting things in their mouths and all over. But it's about empowering the staff to know what to do in those settings.
I know, let's say somebody needed, like a student was exhibiting some behaviors that they needed more support. That, it's kind of changing to, like, let's say somebody, you said the 2-to-1 ratio, right? Actually, one of those 2 students needs a lot more, and it's kind of taking attention. I'm just being really specific, right? Taking attention from the other student. What is kind of like how long does it take to kind of get something like that addressed?
So nothing just happens. All of it is through an IEP process.
Right.
So if it's decided that, yes, this student just absolutely, I don't know, for whatever reason, we need another person, then that comes together as an IEP team. They bring me, I become involved, the compliance manager becomes involved. We run through checklists to see kind of what are the behaviors that are requiring an extra person. Wayne Risa, they have come to observe, and they have said, why are there so many adults in here? And so it's not a good look when you have the county coming, when I then contact our neighboring partners districts, so which for us are Detroit and Grosse Pointe, and I'm saying, hey, the team is saying this student needs a referral. They need a more restrictive environment, such and such, and they come out and they say, why are there so many adults in this class? And then they say, you guys are doing a great job. They're going to get less support in our more restrictive environment than what they're getting there. You just really have to get a hold on training your paras more, or offer the support. So the short answer to your question is, if there's a definite need, of course, we do what's needed for the child. But we also have to empower our adults to be able to support the children.
Got it. Here, you guys need a couple more.
It's okay,
Remind me,
take your
because
time.
I was in research and disability institute, so I'm always really particular about this. When you were surveying what the need is, who all was included? You could say broadly, in the survey to kind of see what where the adjustment was going to be.
I've done walkthroughs with principals. I've done walkthroughs with Wayne Risa. I've done walkthroughs with compliance managers. I've done walkthroughs with our neighboring partners. The teachers and paras are always in the room when we're offering support. Jennifer, our ASD behavior specialist, she does her walkthroughs and supports as well. So in various settings, I've been a part of those conversations with almost every stakeholder that supports that class.
And when you say stakeholder supports that class, does that include anonymously the paraprofessionals or the teachers in the room, or even the families?
So the families meet during the IEP meetings where the discussion about adult support happens. The parents are not a part of the overall classroom construction conversations. They're not about that, but they are a part of the conversation as it relates to their children in their IEP meetings.
Maybe two more. And then could you describe what a self-contained classroom is and how you all go about designing that?
Mhm.
What the things in there would be.
So a self-contained classroom is a classroom. And for us, the majority of our self-contained classrooms are cross-categorical. So there are students of a variety of grades and a variety of eligibilities. Now, we are a unique district where a larger majority of eligibility that we serve is ASD. So although the class might be a cross-cat, which is a resource classroom, a resource program classroom, the students in many occasions have autism. But they're not an autism classroom because the name of the class follows the certification of the teacher. And we do have a larger majority of our self-contained classrooms are not being managed. They're being managed by individuals who we've had to pull permits on, who are the rule is they have to currently be enrolled in a program. So at this time, many of them don't currently hold a certification. So we can't call the classroom an ASD classroom because they don't have an ASD cert. We have two self-contained teachers classrooms that do hold certificates that we can call those classrooms what they are, but all of the other ones are resource program classrooms.
So does the new, I think the
The Act
18
18.
funding, does that, I know you said like if, what was it, Mars, right? Determined that we only need one, so does that help move one of those into that?
Oh, Mars doesn't determine if we need one. Mars is just the rule book. Lane Risa, who is our county, they, based on the qualifications of the student, determines if the classroom, if we have enough students to sustain an Act 18 classroom. And right now, we only have 8 students that qualify to be in an Act 18 classroom. So that one class is not an additional class. It's one of the 11 that we already have.
It gets transformed into that.
Yes, it gets transformed into that one. And so the students have been switched around because that classroom has very specific rules and only certain kids can qualify to be in there.
And the last question is, so when you're going through, your team, it looks like the compliance managers, like there's, we have X amount of schools, so it looks like they, like there's the 4 like have at least like 1 that they represent solely or like 2 that they represent solely. Like I saw there's some like overlap, but it looks like because there's so many schools that they're like this person is working at Dickinson West, this person that's working at Dickinson East, and maybe the high school has like some overlap. That's what it's like reading as where they're
Yes.
working at, right?
Yes, they, for the most part, they all have their own individual schools with the exception of the high school.
Okay.
And I did forget to mention, which I guess you helped me think about it. We're at a place now where we will need to add a classroom. Our children are now growing up and we're at the place where they're approaching middle school age. And so we do not have a middle school classroom for students with autism. And so that will be where we land probably during district reconfiguration.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Dr. Cobb.
Thank
for
you.
the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Details. All right, last presentation, we have Patrick, VLI program overview. Last presentation. VLI.
Oh, yeah.
All right, hello, my name is Patrick Cashin. I run the virtual program. So I just thought I'd kind of give a review of how the year went. A whole bunch of numbers, what things went well, what things we can improve for next year. So I'll just kind of get into that.
Here, he's just there.
I'm pinned. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so just for a quick refresher, if you're not familiar with how our online program works. So it's grades 7 through 12. It's an asynchronous program, which means that all of the content is always available to the students and they kind of work at their own pace, but they're not alone. They have, Pearson is the curriculum platform we use, and they have 6 teachers, 1 for each class, just like if they were in person. So it's kind of set up in a way where all the students do the work on their own, but if they need help, there's like a dedicated person for them to get help, whether it's like a live lesson, tutoring, kind of things like that. And they can also contact me. This is our numbers for the school year. I have a nice, pretty pie chart on the next slide, but I just wanted to kind of have all the raw numbers right here. So first semester of this year, we had 60 students, second semester, 79 students, and I just kind of added them all up at the end over there. For kind of trends on how the enrollment kind of looks, it's a little bit easier to see it here. So for the most part, as students get older, there's more virtual kids for that grade. Interestingly enough, I have a lot of state data as well, kind of comparing how we stack up to virtual students across the state of Michigan. For whatever reason, unlike the state, we actually have a lot less 12th graders online. My best guess is it's just at least from the 11th graders and 12th graders I talked to, kids want to graduate in person with their friends. Would be my best guess. But otherwise, we're pretty similar to the rest of the state and how it kind of plays out.
I thought even if they did virtual, they could still walk the stage.
Yeah, they can.
Oh, okay.
They just want to hang out with their friends.
Oh, okay.
think,
I see.
or-
All right.
But yeah, they're still able to.
Activities. Yeah, activities.
Yeah, yeah.
Prom.
I got a lot going back for second semester too.
All your memories are.
Senior day.
Senior.
Homecoming.
And then this is kind of the trends of our enrollment over the past couple of years. So one of the things that stands out is every year I've been here, I got here second semester of 23-24. Every year I've been here second semester, there's more virtual kids. Usually by a pretty good margin. I think some of the things, it's like Ramadan. I know I have a lot of kids who have like family obligations, so they want to be at home for that. So they come maybe virtual for second semester, and then they go back the following year for in person. I also have it separated by high school students as opposed to all virtual students, because you can see high school students make up a majority of all of our virtual kids. And then this is just kind of a data disclaimer because you can make numbers say whatever you want. So I want to be transparent. So I'm going to be comparing some of our data to state data, but it's not a perfect comparison. One, because state data is always a year delayed. So like I have our numbers for this year, but I only have the state's numbers for last year. And then also too, the state data, sometimes it combines the gen ed virtual students across the state with the alternative ed students across the state. And those numbers are very different. Like you'll see here in a little bit, across the state, the gap between general education virtual students and all ed, it's like a 15% pass rate difference, which kind of skews things when all of our VOI students are general ed.
So what is the virtual program offering to Horizon?
So Horizon, they use a different platform.
Yeah.
It's called Momentum.
Momentum?
Admentum. Yeah. And I think they use that mostly for credit recovery. I think it's set up in a similar way, but I don't personally. Yeah. But it's not too different. And then so this is the pass rates, kind of how they've been going. Comparing ours and the maroon to the kind of general pass rate and then the overall virtual pass rate. So we went up a little bit from last year, which is nice. It kind of puts us at the same spot that the rest of the state was last year, but it's only like a 2% difference. So I don't want to put like a whole bunch of stock in it, but basically, we're kind of along where the rest of the state is as far as general education virtual students. And then the state kind of breaks it down into a few different categories. They talk about students if they've passed all of their online classes, if they've passed some of their online classes, and if they did not pass any online class throughout the year. So interestingly enough, we're pretty much within like 2% on all of those categories, which is kind of interesting. One thing I do want to point out though that sets us apart is that across the state of Michigan for virtual kids and schools that have over 75% free or reduced lunch, the pass rate's actually all the way down to 60%. And I know at the high school, it's like, I think 100% free and reduced lunch if I was almost. But that is one area which our virtual kids really outperform because we're up at 73 as opposed to 60. And then I just have a graph for this is for our students, kind of the breakdown of how many classes they passed. So you can see over half of them passed all of the classes, and then, another quarter passed 4 to 5, and then the last quarter is kind of split between kids who didn't pass any classes and passed 1 to 3. One nice thing, I don't know how much of a benefit it is, but even for the students who didn't pass any classes, all of them still work on the classes, which is nice to see. Well, I think I had maybe a couple who didn't do too much, but the students did really still put in effort. So it's not like if they didn't pass any classes, that means they didn't look at anything all year. Because I know sometimes that's a concern with online kids because you're not there to.
I was just gonna ask. So I was gonna say, is there like a correlation between them actually trying and not passing versus not trying and not passing?
Yeah, the biggest kind of indicator, at least that I've run into, is the amount of time that kids spend on classes. So like, if a student finishes all of the assignments and actually tries, they will pass the
They will,
class,
okay.
pretty much. It's only when they don't finish a bunch of assignments in the class that it makes it kind of tough for them to pass it. And then so here's a bunch of numbers here, kind of comparing all of our grade data. So there's a couple of things I want to highlight. The one that stands out is the middle school. So for part of it is we don't have a ton of middle school students, so sometimes the data is a little noisier, but it doesn't mean I can ignore it. So our middle school students did not do as well as last year for virtual. So I kind of spent this summer looking at some of the reasons why that might be. And I think, at least from what I was looking at the classes, the middle school students get a little discouraged if they see a bunch of like assignments, like late assignments kind of piling up, and it gets a little bit harder for them to kind of restart if they don't get like a really, really good start off to the school year. So for this year, I'm putting a much higher emphasis for those middle school students on getting them started kind of like right. I'm making them, last year I did like online orientations for any of the kids who wanted to, but now for middle school students, I'm gonna go out of my way to get them in front of me. That usually helps. And then for the high school, you can see that 9th, 11th, and 12th grade all did a little bit better than last year, which is nice. You can see also like the rate of improvement is a little bit higher than across the state. That Michigan pass rate is both gen and alt ed, so it's not, you know, perfect comparison, but it's nice to see the trends.
Why the drop in the 10th grade, like, little?
I honestly don't know. The 10th graders,
No, I
Per se,
yeah, but just like,
right,
you know,
like you say.
they start off hot and then it's
yeah, the 10th graders have been giving me kind of throwing me for a
Sophomore
loop.
slumps.
right,
Sophomore
sophomore slump,
slump.
yeah, it's probably what it is.
Yeah. Even last year, like you can see, they're down from 2%, so they're only at 59% last year, which again was lower than all the other numbers.
Yeah.
And I went through and looked, and I had 9th graders who were virtual with me last year do worse this year. I had 11th graders this year who were 10th graders last year who did better. Because usually, like across the state, how it goes is the kids, as they get older and they kind of mature and get used to the platform, they do better. I don't know what it is about the 10th graders, so I'm gonna have to put more attention on the 10th graders this year because it has to be something.
Can you ask like, cause they're going to 11th grade, right? Can you ask
Mhm.
them, if they're the same students and you know, like what they struggle with?
Yeah, like I've asked a couple of them and it's,
Could be time management, you know.
yeah,
just
sometimes
growing
it's
up,
just,
you know,
oh, you know, I got behind or like this class was that like, harder. And it's like, I know it wasn't that much harder like I saw we did in 9th grade. Sometimes, you know, some of the students have outside things happening, but
Yeah, that is also
there doesn't seem to be like a,
One size fit all.
yeah, like a linking reason, because it's driving me crazy.
Well, and when you've got small group anyway, like, you know, that
Yeah,
changes.
it does
Yeah.
make it a little bit
Yeah.
more susceptible to just kind of,
Yeah.
you know, changes in a year, but I do want to see that number get higher, because all the other high school students do pretty well online, especially the seniors.
Right.
Like, I think out of all the seniors, I think maybe one class somebody didn't pass, but, you're doing good. And then this is just kind of breaking down some other little things. So for special ed, I had 9 students with IEPs take virtual classes this year. They did very well. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of. I gotta give big props to the special ed department and the special ed teachers at the high school. Because virtual students, just because they're online, doesn't mean they still don't get services. So they meet with their special ed teacher online on Zoom. To get those services, and they do really well. We have less virtual kids with IEPs as compared to the rest of the state. I don't know if that really means anything, but you know, just kind of for the comparison. And then also for kind of gender, because this is another area where Hamtramck is pretty different compared to the rest of the state. So across the state, pretty much an even split, 50-50 for boys and girls. The pass rates are pretty much the same. For Hamtramck, we have basically double the amount of girl students compared to boys. A lot of that is just, some of the reasons why they're online in the first place. But there's not much of a difference in pass rates. So even though the numbers are a lot different, everybody's still doing basically the same. Something else that I think is worth pointing out is the difference in students when they go back and forth, like how much do they do better online or in person. So across the state, when you have kids in the same school year who took both online and virtual classes, on average they have a 12% lower pass rate in online classes, which kind of makes sense just because the online classes are a little bit harder. You don't have somebody always looking over you. So for our online, I only had 4 online kids who were with me first semester and went back second semester. They actually did a little bit better in their virtual classes, but again, it's only 4 kids, so I'm just gonna say they did basically the same. We did have a decent amount of kids come from the high school first semester in person to virtual second semester, and they did a little bit worse. 78% was their overall pass rate for their semester 1 grades, and they had a 68% pass rate online second semester, so a 10% difference. Again, kind of what you would expect looking at any virtual kid across the state. And then for what students are actually learning, besides for their core content, I kind of asked a lot of them what skills they thought they were learning. And then this is kind of the 4 big ones that I saw was for kids, how to be independent and time management. So even though they have like 6 teachers and me, they have support. I always tell the students, it doesn't matter if you don't talk to your teachers. And then so a lot of these kids, especially the ones who have been with me for a couple of years, have gotten very good at learning how to advocate for themselves. I should put that word on there, it's a good one. But that's probably the biggest thing, is that these kids are learning how to ask others for help. And they're learning how to do it in a way that's not all at the last minute. Like they're asking early, they're asking often, and kind of along that lines, the communication I've seen out of a lot of them is very impressive in terms of, because it's mostly email. I got a lot of kids that email me at like 3 a.m, which is fine, but their schedules are a little bit off, but they're learning how to communicate with, in a professional manner. And like I've seen the emails that they send their teachers, and I mean, some of these kids write better than I do with their emails. And then technology is another big part. I think it's taken for granted that younger kids, or just kids in general, automatically know how technology works. That's not always the case, especially with what the online platform asks them to do. Things like, attaching files to an email, submitting files to something like a Dropbox, properly saving a PDF from one that somebody sends you. These things aren't necessarily, you assume that they're common knowledge, but they're not. And that's another one of the skills that the students are learning. It's going to help them be, more successful in the future if they end up working in like an office setting. Or I tell them, even if they don't work in an office, they're still going to need to know how to email things for like bills or whatever it may be. It's a skill we all kind of need. And then this is just kind of some statewide data trends that I thought were a little bit interesting. So I kind of already mentioned that enrollment increases per grade, except for us in the case of the 12th graders. The pass rate across the state is slowly increasing. So basically, for like a zoom out picture since COVID, once everybody went online for COVID and we all kind of had to learn how to do online stuff, the pass rate went way up. And then ever since COVID, it kind of crashed back down, and now it's kind of stabilized and it's going back up. I kind of talked about this a little bit with like the free and reduced lunch, but most students who are virtual they're classified as in poverty by the state. There is a big pass rate difference that seems to be one of the things that one of the indicators, I guess, for virtual pass rate, but it seems it doesn't really affect our students, so that's good. And then the high school pass rate rises as students get older, as they get more used to the platforms and everything. And then as far as the breakdown between high school and middle school kids across the state compared to us, we're pretty much the same. So. And then I think that's it. Oh, and then I have the link to the data source. Michigan Virtual puts it out every year. It has a bunch of information on it. But so if you're curious about virtual learning in the state, across the state, it has like every breakdown you could want, except for ML. That's the one I want that they don't have.
Alright, thanks so much. Any questions?
I think we already asked them during the.
Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Great job, thank you.
Thank you.
All
Is
right.
there any pertaining to the ML? That's a very us concern. Is that something that's on deck for the statewide? I mean, is there plans statewide to have that metric?
I don't know. I wonder if maybe there's not like a big enough population statewide.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's very close for us, right?
Yeah,
That's
'cause it's
everything
like-
for us.
yeah.
But I mean, like, so is the state intending on looking at that or no?
I don't know. I'd have to ask. I will say one thing that's you would think that with it being a high population of MLs, that being online where there's a lot of reading would be like really difficult for kids. And sometimes it can be at the start. But like I've seen a few kids come in who really, because they don't have any other option, like their English has gotten, at least their written English has gotten a lot better as they
Right. Oh, absolutely.
yeah. And then otherwise, like when I look at our non-ML kids and our ML kids, there's not like a huge discrepancy in like success rate or pass rate or whatever. It's basically the same.
That's good.
I hope the state gives me something
I
for
mean, maybe we can lobby them.
that.
Just saying.
All right, thanks, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to board policy, 2006 behavior, policy read, second read. Long-term suspension, expulsions. The Board of Education delegates to the superintendent authority to issue long-term suspensions not to exceed 30 days pursuant to legal compliant procedures set forth in the student code of conduct. The superintendent's decision on such suspension will be final. The Board of Education retains the authority to issue suspension longer than 30 days in all expulsions. The superintendent is authorized to take action to facilitate any hearing before the Board of Education. Alright, now we have the superintendent mid-year review. I think I'm gonna move that to before the end so we can get people out of here before it's been a long night. Do we have anything for audience participation pertaining to the agenda?
Yes.
We do? Okay. Before we move to that, I have one acknowledgement, and that is thanking the community for voting yes on the recreation millage for the renewal, and thanking and giving a huge shout out to our HFT. Our teachers were out there knocking doors and passing flyers. So a huge shout out to them. And huge thanks out to all the stakeholders, everyone involved, and our two board members were actually at the polls and knocking doors and stuff. And our interim superintendent was also at the poll as well. So thank you to all.
We also need to thank Tom Habits for running
Yes.
an incredible campaign and keeping
Yeah.
us all on track.
Absolutely. Thanks to that.
From
HBC.
Hamtramck Park Excursion, yeah.
Yes, yep. All right, now we move on to audience participation. This portion of the agenda is for citizens to address question or comment pertaining to the agenda. The board will listen, take comments and question under advisement, and not respond at this time. The presiding officer will refer questions to the superintendent for research or response. Persons wishing to address the Board of Education must complete the audience participation form and submit it to the board's president before the meeting starts. Form must be filled out completely to be accepted. Joanne?
Jennifer Johnson, Crudup.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Johnson Crudup, and I have proudly served as a district autism spectrum disorder behavior specialist for the past 3 years. I am a certified ASD clinical specialist and a licensed clinical social worker as well. I appreciate the opportunity to share the responsibilities of my role within the district. In my role, I provide behavior and social emotional support across every school in the district, with much of my focus on supporting students and staff in our self-contained special education classrooms. My goal is to ensure that students receive the supports they need to be successful, whilst equipping staff with the knowledge, strategies, and resources necessary to meet individual needs. I support all district school social workers by providing guidance and collaboration to address student behavior and social emotional needs. I conduct monthly one-on-one meetings with all school social workers and provide weekly supervision for those working towards full licensure. I also assist with Medicaid billing requirements, review IEPs for state, federal compliance, and provide ongoing coaching and guidance to special education paraprofessionals to support their work with students. Alongside Dr. Cobb, a significant part of my role involves collaborating with students, teachers, administrators, and multidisciplinary teams. I conduct classroom observations to identify factors contributing to student behaviors and assess whether Tier 1 and Tier 2 interventions have been implemented effectively before recommending additional supports. I analyze behavior data, provide strategies, model evidence-based interventions, coach staff on classroom management techniques, and assist teams in developing functional behavior assessments and behavior intervention plans and measurable behavior goals. I also participate in student referral meetings, manifestation determination reviews, and IEP meetings to help develop individualized plans that support student success. I support the social workers in implementing student evaluations by assisting with gathering relevant information, interpreting assessment data, and reviewing evaluation reports to provide feedback and ensure evaluations are completed accurately and appropriately. I assist IEP teams in determining the least restricted environment and work closely with families to provide resources and strategies that strengthen the partnership between home and school. Ultimately, my work is centered on ensuring that students receive the behavior and social emotional supports that they need to learn. It was truly an honor to serve our students and truly an honor to serve our students, family, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to share how we work together to support the success and well-being of students throughout our district.
Jatera Davis Briggs.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for having me and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I am Jatera Davis Briggs and I've been serving as one of the district's 4 compliance managers for the past year, specifically supporting special education. Because I am relatively new to this role, I do want to speak from the perspective of someone who has spent this year learning, observing, and supporting our staff and seeing firsthand what our teachers need. After 1 year in this position, one thing that has become very clear to me is that there is a continued need for dedicated compliance support within our district. In my role, I currently support 6 resource teachers. Throughout this year, I have worked alongside them with writing briefs, METs, IEPs, facilitating the IEP meetings, understanding timelines, interpreting requirements, and navigating the many responsibilities that come with providing special education services. What I have learned is that our resource teachers genuinely want to do their jobs well. They care about their students, they care about their families, and they want to make sure they are doing things correctly. But many of our resource teachers are still learning. They are still developing their understanding of special education law, state requirements, district expectations, evaluation processes, IEP development, timelines, and procedural requirements, and that is understandable. Special education is a highly regulated area of education. We are asking teachers to understand complex federal and state requirements while simultaneously teaching students and managing everything else that comes with their role. Over the past year, I have seen firsthand the questions and confusions that can arise. Teachers have come to me because they were unsure or needed clarification about timelines, how to complete documentation correctly, IEP requirements, evaluation processes, and how to appropriately communicate information to families. That experience has shown me that having a dedicated person available to answer those questions is not a luxury, but it is a support that's needed. Our teachers need someone they can go to. The purpose of compliance support is not simply to respond after something goes wrong, but it is to help prevent problems before they happen. And I want to be transparent with you all that although we have made great progress over the past year, we do still have some work to do. We will continue to work on timeliness. We are still continuing to work on consistency, and our resource teachers are continuing to develop their expertise and understanding of special education law and expectations. I view this as evidence that the work is still necessary. Building capacity does take time. I'm asking that you all consider maintaining this support because of what I have learned this year about what our teachers need. They do need access to expertise, and they need someone who can support them through difficult IEP conversations with families and help them understand the law and the expectations. We have seen progress, but we are not finished. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Erica Johnson Kelly.
Good evening, members of the board, staff, and community. My name is Erica Johnson Kelly, and I am the administrative assistant to the executive director of special services. I just wanted to briefly explain what the special services department looked like when I arrived in 2023. I walked into chaos and confusion. Processes were inconsistent, timelines were missed, and documentation was nowhere to be found. Learning the system is impossible when there is no system in place. There was no department. I was hired before there was a director that year. The first director was hired and lasted no more than a month. She said that it was more than she could bear. I was terrified, to say the least. Then a compliance manager was hired, and we slowly pieced together some of the basic functions of our positions. When Dr. Cobb arrived, everything changed in a way I could not have imagined. I later found out that she too was very overwhelmed, but it never showed. She was calm, patient, and thoughtful. Her addition of compliance manager positions has strengthened the department incredibly. We now have a team that is organized, driven, and serious about our students, state regulations, federal requirements, and district policies. The reduction in legal and financial risk alone is absolutely commendable. As a whole, we have gained the trust of parents, and we are more organized and efficient than ever. We are, in fact, award-winning and MDR honored for least restrictive environment under the direction of Dr. Cobb. I have learned so much from the compliance managers and the ASD behavior specialists. While it is easy for those outside of administration to make assumptions, most often their ideas are incorrect. We are very strong as the team we are now, and I take pride in our growth as a unit. That means paras, teachers, nurses, SLPs, social workers, OTs, PTs, compliance managers, behavior specialists, assistant, and director. Thank you for your time.
Thank
All right, thank you.
Sarah Mazer.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Sarah Mazher, and I've been here since August of 2024, where I serve as a compliance manager, working alongside Dr. Cobb and the rest of the special ed admin team. Prior to coming to Hamtramck, I was a special education teacher myself, both in public and PSAs across Metro Detroit for more than 18 years. In 2023, I completed the coursework for my admin cert and approval. I appreciate you allowing the opportunity to provide some context regarding the role of the district's compliance managers, particularly in light of recent comments. First, I want to acknowledge the value of our special education staff. They are an essential part of our team and make a meaningful difference in the lives of all of our students, and simply put, their work is invaluable. At the same time, it is important to understand that the role of a compliance manager is fundamentally different from that of a classroom teacher or a parapro. The role was not created to replace instructional support, but rather to ensure that our district meets legal, educational, and ethical responsibilities under IDEA, state, and Wayne Risa regulations. Our responsibilities extend far beyond administrative oversight. We support in monitoring federal and state compliance timelines, to ensure students receive evaluations, meet eligibility requirements, receive appropriate programs and services, and that IEPs are completed within legally required timeframes. Since joining this district, I have developed systems for tracking compliance that have resulted in none of the teachers that I work with missing a federal special education timeline. That represents more than regulatory compliance. It means that students and families receive services without delay. Beyond compliance, we support teachers in conducting evaluations and classroom observations, participate in IEP meetings. Last year alone, I went to over 100. Eligibility meetings, collaborate with Dr. Cobb and county consultants to address district-wide compliance needs, assist with Act 18 programming budgets, analyze district data continuously to identify trends and improve programming, develop systems that oversee removals and alert administrators to ensure that we are on time, assist with corrective action plans, serve as thought partners to develop and improve instructional practices, develop professional development sessions for staff, and serve as resource for problem solving when challenges arise. The list can keep going on. Compliance in special education is not simply just paperwork. Every timeline that we meet, every evaluation completed correctly, and every legally sound IEP protects students' educational rights and helps ensure that the services they need, they're able to receive. It also protects the district from costly corrective action plans, state findings, and legal disputes that ultimately would divert resources away from our students. The work of the paraprofessionals, teachers, service providers, admin, and compliance staff is interconnected, yet each role exists because students deserve both high-quality instruction and a system that ensures that their educational rights are protected. Our shared goals should continue to be strengthening every part of that system so that our students receive the services and support they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sandra Jackson.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Jackson, and I have the privilege of serving as a special education compliance manager for early childhood elementary school, Head Start, our early on scholars from Grosse Pointe, which are at age 3, and the build-up referrals that we receive from the Michigan Early Childhood Administration. In addition, I help oversee the Catamaran system, which tracks district activities and data to ensure compliance with state and federal special education requirements. I'm honored to introduce myself and share a little about the work that I do in support of our scholars, their families, and the dedicated staff who serve them. My role centers on ensuring that our district fulfills its legal and ethical responsibilities under state and federal special education laws. More importantly, my work helps ensure that every scholar with a disability receives the services and supports they need to grow, learn, and thrive. I work to ensure that evaluations are completed within required timelines, individualized education programs, IEPs, are meaningful, compliant, and individualized services are delivered with fidelity, and families are respected as valued partners throughout the special education process. The work is accomplished through close collaboration with each scholar's case manager, educational team, families, and partner districts. I also serve as a resource for case managers, administrators, and general education teachers by providing guidance over the ever-evolving requirements of special education. Beyond ensuring compliance, I serve as a thought partner, working alongside staff to develop educational plans that are both legally sound and centered on each scholar's unique strengths and needs. As a compliance manager, my work extends beyond meeting regulatory requirements. It is about removing barriers, promoting equity, supporting educators, and ensuring that every scholar has access to a high-quality education that empowers them to reach their full potential. I am grateful for the opportunity to serve this district and appreciated the opportunity to introduce myself this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy Mills.
Good evening,
Good evening.
members of the board. My name is Judy Mills, and I'm here to provide some additional context to the role of the Special Education Compliance Manager roles and positions and why they're necessary to support our students, teachers, and families. I'm currently the Compliance Manager at KMS and DE, where I oversee a total of 8 teachers. This year alone, I oversaw the compliance of nearly 100 IEPs, individualized education programs, and I want to emphasize that these are programs and it's not just paperwork. The year before that, I provided support at Talbeda, Holbrook, DE, and ECE. And the year before that, when I first came, I oversaw all 8 buildings in the district, which was virtually impossible for me to do single-handedly, efficiently. When I began my position in December 2023, the district, as Dr. Cobb said, was under direct oversight by Wayne Risa due to significant special ed compliance issues and concerns that existed prior to this administrative team. As it was stated, we had OCR complaints, we had several lawsuits, and most importantly, students with IEPs were not getting the services that were indicated in their plans. At that time, Dr. Cobb and myself and one other compliance manager were responsible for implementing the corrective actions required by the state and rebuilding a special education system. Initially, Wayne Risa was coming to meet with us, as she indicated, on a weekly basis, which was very extensive. We were able to get that to just bi-weekly and then eventually monthly as the school year went on. And as Dr. Cobb indicated, by the end of 2024, Wayne Risa determined that we no longer needed their direct oversight, and to this day, we only require universal support. One of the significant accomplishments of that process was our timely IEP rate. Again, that was indicated. We went from 84% to now 99%, but we still have some work to do because the state does require 100% compliance. But one of the most significant progresses that we made was in rebuilding the trust with our families. We had several parents or families that had taken their students out of the district, and over the course of the few years, parents are returning their students back to the district because they trust and believe that they're going to receive the services that they require. With all this in mind, compliance is not something that's achieved and then it's forgotten. This requires continuous monitoring, and with over 300 students in the district that require services, this cannot be done and sustained by only 1 or 2 people. It requires a dedicated team to support our special ed teachers, ensure the legal compliance, and protect our students' rights. And to maintain the progress that we've worked so hard to achieve. I'd like to recognize Dr. Cobb and the outstanding special ed administrative team that she has built, and you, the board, for approving the additional compliance manager roles to help make this progress happen over the past few years. And at the end of the day, this work is not about positions or paperwork, it's about students. And at the end of the day, every decision we make is guided by one question, and that is, are we ensuring that our students with disabilities are receiving a free, appropriate public education in their least restrictive environment?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Amir Jones.
I think he left.
You left?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, thank you. We now move on to action items. Resolution number 2, approval of invoice and check register. Do I have any questions?
Do you have any?
I already asked.
You already asked.
All right,
I will table them.
okay. Since there's no question, can I get a motion?
I'll send them an email. Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Ms. Blahnik, seconded by Mr. El Jaheen. Resolve that the check register for the period July 9, 2026 to August 12, 2026, as in clause be approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. Resolution number 3, approval of 403B plan. Any comments, questions? All right, can I get a motion?
Motion.
I heard Mr. Obey, seconded by Mr. Eljahang. Whereas stated here, resolve further that the undersigned representative of the employer is authorized to execute the restated plan documented and authorize the performance of any other actions necessary to implement the adoption of the plan restatement. The employer may designate any other authorized person to execute the restated plan, document and perform the necessary action to adopt the restated plan. The employer will maintain a copy of the restated plan as approved by the governing board along with a copy of the prior plan in its files. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. Resolution number 4, renewal of frontline technologies. Any questions, comments? All right, can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. El-Gahaim, seconded by Mr. Obaid. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the renewal of frontline technology software for the 2026-2027 school year. Total amount not to exceed $95,308.77. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. Resolution number 5, approval of math activities purchase. Questions, comments? All right, can I get a motion?
Motion.
I heard Ms. Wolinek, second, I think Ms. Mia, right? Yes. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the purchase of Ready, Set, Math Early Numeracy Word Symbol and Quantities Activities board sets from Integral Numeracy Solutions for K-8 students. Total cost not to exceed $59,880. Funded through Title IV. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. Resolution number 6, approval of K-5 social studies curriculum purchases. Any question, comments? All right, can I get a motion?
Motion.
I heard so many. I think Ms. Wolinek, seconded by Ms. Watson.
No, I heard.
Did you?
I heard
Was it
all.
Al-Gahaim?
Yeah,
Al-Gahaim?
I heard over on that side, yes.
Yeah. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the purchase of McGraw-Hill K-5 social study curriculum. Total cost not to exceed $164,216.81. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. All right, resolution number 7, approval of HFT behavior interventionist contract. Any questions or comments? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
I heard Ms. Mia, seconded by Mr. El-Gahaim. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the Hamtramck Federation of Teacher Behavior Interventionist contract as presented. All in favor? Any opposed? 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. Resolution number 8, approval of employment. Any questions or comments? All right, can I get a motion?
Motion.
I heard Mr. Obaid. 1 second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wolinek. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the employment of Sarah Russo as the Assistant Principal at Hamtramck High School, Step 1 of the HA salary schedule for a master's degree, effective August 31, 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. She's actually here in the audience, so congratulations. All right, we move on to resolution number 9, appointment of MASB delegates. Who wants to?
Can I nominate Tazia?
All right, Ms. Tasia, do you accept?
I mean, should I be the first time going?
It's usually the rookie takes it.
Oh, really? Is that how they go?
So they can go up to Lansing and.
Well, she's going. She's going.
Like,
So you're going anyway,
Yeah,
so
I'm going
perfect.
anyway, but I just wondering, I was like, oh, should I?
All right, so we will
Yeah,
put you down as a
Hold on, you
delegate.
got a motion first. You got a motion.
Yeah, no, but I'm putting her down as a delegate first.
Oh, you gotta decide on that.
Delegate and an alternate.
All right, can I get a motion? Wait, we also need the
We need
alternate.
an alternate.
Who's
Linda.
Yeah, I'm really on for the end of the.
All right, resolution appointed MASB delegates. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. El-Gahaim, second by Ms. Wolinek. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby appoint Ms. Mia as a delegate to the Michigan Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly and Ms. Wolinek as an alternate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. Resolution number 10, approval of consent agenda items. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Boynick, seconded by Mr. Elgahane. Resolved that the Board of Education approve the following items under the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I just want to strike K because we don't
Yeah.
want, we don't
I
want
know,
Joanne
we
to
don't
go.
Understood.
So let me just strike K.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries. Joanne will always be here, so. All right, we move on to audience participation.
I have one, Teresa Comer.
You'll pass?
Okay.
All right, I guess we did a good job, right? Okay, we move on to board calendar updates. Our next regular meeting is September 9th at 6 p.m. That is the second day after our school starts, right?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. And then October 7th and November 11th. And now we move on to the superintendent
November,
evaluation.
For November, any chance we could, I don't know, move it up a day, like to the 10th?
Oh, that's Veterans Day. Or does that matter?
It doesn't really matter, but it's up to you guys who's available. I just don't want to change it because availability,
Yeah.
especially Mr. Ferris. I know he has that. Really hard. Is that a no-no for you? You can't make it a roll, or?
It's not a no. I just have, I have a work trip,
Okay.
and then so I have to like not do part of the work trip to.
Okay.
Do we
Well,
want to move it
let's-
to a different time,
You move it to a different date.
the 4th or the
Yeah,
18th?
It's November 11th, you're saying, right?
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to discuss, since it's still far away, can we still discuss
Yeah.
the meeting?
Yeah.
I mean, would it be better, like, would you
Yeah,
get
I
it?
think we leave it alone for now, and then we'll discuss it next meeting.
Yeah, next
Fine.
time will be good.
Cool.
Maybe the 18th.
Yeah, potential.
All right, now we go back to our super eval. It's pretty much just we're not rating our superintendent or anything. We're just discussing points that we, discussed at the first time we started this evaluation, and just give any recommendations or what pros and cons pretty much of each rubric that we talked about. So I'll start by going through the items in order. A3,
Well, section B is first, right?
Section E.
we can, you want me to follow the sections itself?
Yeah.
Section D, business and finance.
I mean, it was essentially, I think that was mostly about the audit stuff.
Yep.
So I guess how are we looking for this?
We're on target.
What'd you say?
We're on target, yes.
Oh, we're on target.
Sorry. Yes.
What date are we supposed to have that,
Supposed to be by like at the end of October or something?
Well, it has to be done by November first and filed. The auditors come out for interim work on the 27th of August. That'll be like a day, maybe two, and then they come out the first or second week in October. First? Okay.
So then we're aiming to have it
What,
ready
by
to go
the
like
end of October?
31st.
Yeah.
31st.
Like of October.
Oh, no, we'll know, they'll be in and, we'll know when they come in 27th, because they'll look at reconciliations, they'll see where we're at, and they'll give them a firm update. They're already sending us things on the SureLink to file. Cindy's got control over it. So,
All right.
All right,
Okay.
so we will move on to information now.
Well, let me just comment though on,
Yes, go ahead.
of course, the financial situation. I'm really appreciating that we've added back a finance report, and I think it's really important and educational for all of us to be able to understand what all those things are. And I just want to call out that I really appreciate that we're putting that back in, and that it's imperative that we understand where we are and what we're spending and how we're spending it. And the other side to that is that, we just worked on passing this recreation millage, and people are entrusting us with that money. They're entrusting us with, all of us feel like we don't have enough money. So, I just want to emphasize that that's the place we need to be coming from, so.
I would echo that it helps us, helps Cindy and myself, that we bring information and you know it, and you can give us feedback, input, and we discuss it. So, I mean, we've wanted to do this for a long time, so we're actually glad that we're putting things on there and, get your input immediately. So like I say, it helps us find, mistakes or things that we need to sharpen a little bit, so.
Oh, and for the audit, make sure we're in compliance with everything.
Of course.
All right.
Absolutely.
Make sure all the grants deadline is out.
Yeah, because there were some things that were
For 3 years, not compliant.
not in compliance yet with some of a few of the things. So.
All right, we'll move to A3, information. How do you guys feel about that?
I think Jimmy could do a little bit better job in terms of, this whole situation with what's an emergency and what's not, and, I found a few things, in emails that we got that were actually pretty in the moment, and it was kind of surprising to get it as an email. So I just think that we went over, what constitutes an emergency and what constitutes a text or an email, and so I just want to emphasize that.
Yeah, so another term, it might be better for you to let your administrators know to notify you of any.
Yes, exactly.
Because we hear
And then
stuff.
you take the initiative to tell the board president, let the board president, decides, I guess. And so you don't put yourself in that situation of a bad rating when it comes down to it.
So you send it out, or I send out all text, email?
It depends on the emergency situation.
It's
Okay.
You have to rate it. If it's something that doesn't,
In the past, as emergency, we used to get a text message from the superintendent to all the board. If it's really emergency that he needs to notify us, because we don't want it to get calls and we don't know nothing about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Which we just went through that
Yeah.
something really big happened and no one knew what was happening.
Well, yeah.
And that's a big surprise.
Is
that?
it?
Oh, no,
he was saying what was the.
what was
We can talk about it.
okay.
Is A3 I'm seeing information, is that just for emergency or was it
So
about
there's-
information that?
it was a lot of sections, but specifically in that category was something we can improve is that communication of
So you all selected emergencies for the information, correct?
Right, it was anything that the police show up, anything
yeah.
that someone gets hurt.
Fire, police,
Anything that
ambulance.
gets hurt, anytime, lights show up.
Yeah,
Or
we
something
wanna be
happens and
informed.
lights don't show up,
Yeah.
but potentially someone is in a situation that,
Someone is harmed, God forbid,
Right.
something like that. We want to be informed because everybody, their kids come home or they tell their parents and it's what the heck?
Or there's a citizen calling you.
Yeah,
hearing about
people
it
call,
before you hear
they
about
call
it.
you sometimes. They're like, hey, what's going on over here? My child is in the school, so it's
The reason I was asking that, and I watched the video when you all were doing the training. I think I heard when you were walking through it in March or something like that.
Yes.
Because I have not necessarily a recommendation, maybe a comment for information. But I don't know if that, it's not a file under emergency. So I don't know if I can.
go ahead. Yeah.
I was wondering if. I thought the words would come to me easier. Anyways, so in terms of how we get information, I was hoping to see some more initiative of sharing some of the different perspectives of let's say there's board things on the agenda, but you gave us context for what's on the agenda, right?
Right.
Which is helpful to know because to be able to make decisions and whatnot. And there were some things in May. I think maybe related to some vendor things that, there was information. You gave us some information, but there was information afterwards.
Okay.
And, like, I felt like, oh, that was important for me to see, that, like, before the meeting, because then somebody went and spoke on something. Not necessarily saying it would have made impact decision, but it just gave a clearer picture.
Okay.
When we have maybe both sides coming and talking to us at the same time for decisions.
Yeah.
But I remember,
Is that food service?
no, it was, security.
Security.
It was security, like, we had somebody come in and the previous person came in and talked, but then, and then you had said that they had reached out, and it was like the day of or something like that, and you know, and I felt like that was something to know before coming into the meeting to, you know, just to get a fuller picture, and so that like it's an example of like you're sharing information, but being able to, I know we can't know everything, but being able to have some of that like bigger picture beforehand, I think it's.
I think on that example, I shared that in the weekly update, that he missed the bid. and that
Yes.
He was
Then
upset, and we went to legal.
yeah, and then but there was like a secondary email that you had sent that was just like a little more descriptive, but it was after we had voted.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I would have, but you had received that before we voted. It might have been the day of, and so that's just an example of like, you know, when you're sharing things to just kind of just take, you know,
Overshare.
not overshare. No, like just take it. Oh,
No,
okay, sure.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say just take like a, you know, one more reflection question of, you know, is this giving the fuller picture or not? Like if they need to know it.
Yeah.
Because especially if it's like someone who's newer, I'll have, you know, let's see how I ask question for Dr. Cobbs, right? This was really great to have that presentation come in. But, like, let's say I was like directing all those questions to you or during the meeting, but like I would like to see the initiative of, you know, you being like, this is a possibility rather than like you take the initiative to share that information with us rather than you having to be like, oh, there's a lack of information, like I need it. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I mean, no offense, but it's probably not a great example because the guy was disqualified from the bid. So the only thing we could have done is rebid it.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying like it would have impacted the decision.
Okay.
It would have just like, you know, this person came in, it just would have given a fuller picture of it.
Okay.
And so, you know, we don't know if there's an opportunity, you know, so there could be something else in the future like that. I'm not saying that exact, like, oh, this isn't person would be applied or not, but it's just like, you know, information is really important. And so just like taking an extra step of kind of questioning, oh, what could be the impact of knowing this information or not knowing this information for the board? So that kind of, you know,
Okay.
just the extra step and, you know, all the things we'll be discussing from finance to vendors, all those kind of things, just the extra step, like I want to see some more of that, you know, initiative.
Okay.
Anything else on communication?
Communication.
Information, I'm sorry. All right, now we move on to communication. Need to develop two-way communication with the community. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I know that we tried, Jim, you've tried to do coffees and something like that, and we really just didn't get much participation. So what's your idea about how you're going to do that?
Well, that's actually where I went to the students and started meeting with the students individually. And, you know, the feedback that I was getting from the students was that, you know, you can't expect the parents to come to you. You have to go to the parents. And so trying to figure out if that's like, is that door to door or is that at parent engagement meetings? You know, what does that look like? So that,
Maybe community meetings.
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
Or
community
parent-teacher
presence in
conference.
mind.
yeah,
Yeah, community meeting, parent teacher conference, that's
Well-
visibility, I think that's under.
and then we're gonna do a lot of that with the configuration this year.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be reaching out to parents. And we have to figure out how that's gonna look too. I mean, is it gonna be like, you know, what kind of meeting it would be, you know, how we're gonna get the parents engaged to get feedback and do surveys.
It is
So like little town halls.
What is it? PTA.
But I mean, maybe going to, you know, like DW does student appreciation.
Yeah.
Something there, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, parent workshops, stuff like that.
Pick a date and like, you know, kind of rotate through all the schools and do like a little town hall at each individual building, sort of like, you know, what are the concerns of our community in that one building?
Yeah, this is for the next rubric or common topic, visibility in the district.
But I think
Yes.
I think that accomplishes that.
Yeah.
It's just an idea.
So
Yeah.
hopefully this upcoming school year, we
So-
see you more
so-
visible throughout.
For both of this, for communication and visibility, the other thing is that, I think that you need to inform us in the weekly of particularly where you're meeting, what you're doing, and document that so that we understand what's happening. Because
Cause you might be doing
you might be
that,
doing
and-
things and we would have no
Yeah.
idea.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you see me out there.
Yeah.
We would have no idea, so, you know, cause we can't be in all places either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not full-time in the buildings.
Sure. All right, thanks.
Okay, and now we move on to financial controls. I think we talked about it a little bit, focus on control audits and also the finance department, how's that going?
The audit?
No, the finance department itself.
Oh,
Financial controls.
it's going very well. I mean, you know, Cindy,
My
we have,
priority is compliance,
you know.
Yeah,
Brad
that's yes.
so that's
As a
like,
consultant, so.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Alright,
Are we on
any
track for
comments?
the, are we on track
What
for the
consultant?
audit?
Brad, he's the
Oh, right.
plant moran
Okay.
CPA.
All right, cause I had a couple of questions, those were my questions on the checkbook register were about some consultants, so
Okay, there you go.
just reminding. Okay,
Alright, E2, building level leadership.
I'm actually, gonna call this out, that, Tony was here in the fall and she was here again in the spring and presented a dismal climate and culture report, about, you know, how the people in the buildings are feeling about administration in general and then the principals and we haven't heard anything about like what are you doing about that? Because it's really was a pretty in-depth, well, I looked at it today, it's 203 pages. So it's a lot of work and it's a lot of data, but it all points in a direction that I think is not really a good one. So
Well, that would be part of meeting with the principals, going over their survey results. We also get a survey from Hanover. So we have that also, so we can, you know, it gives a lot of the same information, but maybe different for the school. It's more of a, you know, parent, student with the school.
well, I think just meeting with the principals doesn't really accomplish anything. It's
Well, no,
more
it's
like,
going over that with them and finding out what they're doing.
okay.
So are you saying like working with them to develop like an action plan with like timelines and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, see how, you know, see the culture they're building, how they're addressing it, and if they are aware of some of those criticisms in the survey.
You probably saw me like I had a little smile. I would hope that, like what you just answered, similar to like where you're like if you're like meeting with students,
Mhm.
right? And like, oh, like just let us like tell us. So that kind of like that language you already had, you know, like you like yeah, you're gonna do an action plan and things like that. Like you already know you're gonna do them, which is great. And I feel like, especially with that survey, like publicly, like, you know, we have the opportunity publicly to say that. And you, like, you just did when I asked you, right? When Linda asked, you hadn't, and so I just wanna feel like you're doing the work, so I would just like you to say it, to like,
Right.
cause like, let's say if I hadn't asked, it would have been like, oh, you didn't have like, your response to her, what it wasn't showing that, oh, you're gonna have an action plan. But like, your response to me showed like, yeah, you probably thought about that.
Yeah.
So I just, like, you might be doing the work, so just,
Yeah.
you know, just vocalize it. So
Well, I think some of
doesn't
it
seem like there's a little lag.
is sort of understanding what you want in the weekly update.
No, I
because-
just mean like right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
yeah. I just mean like right now, like.
I think she, that's what she was, like, what she meant was what Linda said was like, when you're doing that in regards to like meeting with the students and all that, like, and like show that in your weekly.
Gotcha.
And that's what she means
No,
by.
I just mean like in this language right now, like
Oh,
if you didn't share it, somebody would think you're not doing the work.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about it, just like
Say it.
just say it, because then we'll know, the staff will know, everybody's watching the recording will know you're working on it. So like that's just what I mean. Like, give yourself kudos for, I don't mean you gotta do it first, but like like give yourself kudos for walking through, like,
Yeah.
you know, as you're walking through it. Like, if we don't know or other people don't know in the States, if somebody asks you a question, they're gonna think, oh, maybe it's not happening. Does that
No, it makes
It
sense.
just makes sense.
It
Another,
does.
yeah, another thing I like to see implemented is that, I like to see building leaders or administrators leading their buildings, and at the same time, if there's an issue or something, I don't want them to bypass chain of command. I like them to, if we have an org chart, they need to follow the org chart, and if there comes an issue, then they should come to the board instead of bypassing the next leadership, because it turns that leader in between the superintendent and the administrators or teachers or whoever it is. It fills that gap there. So
Well, principals actually report to Heather,
okay,
and then she reports to me.
okay.
So,
I just seen in the past that it's not done that way. I like to see it, done, the proper way, which is administrators go to Heather,
Yeah.
whether they get along or they don't. Work is work. You have to work and get your, whatever happens outside of work is outside of work.
Sure.
But they need to follow chain of command, and we need to, have things written down, and for stuff that they don't do right or stuff like that, it needs to be documented and stuff like that, so.
Well, I guess this is confusing to me though, because, you just called out that they don't report to you, but you're gonna meet with the principals. I'm not really understanding that, because it's like that, then you're just cutting around.
well,
Do they report to you, or is she in the room, or just you and them?
well, it should be, she is the first report.
Right,
And
Okay.
then, I mean, all employees report to me
right,
in some shape or form.
true.
Well, yes and no. I mean, like, you could say the same thing about us, but we have one employee and it's you,
Sure,
and that's
right.
it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have directs and you have, people below them, but you have to let your directs do their job.
Well, then some of that is delegating too.
Right.
So, I mean, so she would meet with principals on survey and report.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that.
I agree with that too, because if that's her job, then
Because if they
that's the
report
way
it to
it should
her,
do it.
she should sit with them
Yeah.
and regarding
she
the
should be
decision,
given the
and then
latitude.
report it to you.
Right,
Right.
she should be given the latitude to give her opinion and see if we can get some of this turned
Yeah,
around.
whether you report with the SPED department per se, I think Dr. Cobb should be in the room. Whether administrators, she should be in the room. MLI, director, the MLI
Yeah.
should report as well.
So delegate.
Yes,
Yes.
And then,
I think it'll make it more, where there's trust and among all the administrators. And that's what we need to build.
and then follow up to what you were saying, Abdullah, like earlier, like if somebody has a need to like skip someone, would you say like that's something to document? Like why did they, let's say somebody had, I'm just giving an example, hypothetical example, right? If somebody went directly to you or something like that, just give. Would you say like that's something to document? Like why did they go to you to discuss it rather than someone why was like a chain of commands skipped? Is it?
Yeah, he should report back to her, send her back to the person who's in charge.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of accepting the complaint or the information.
Like whatever the
So,
gap is. Of
so
what
if something came to me, it doesn't came to Abdul Malik, I should direct it to Abdul Malik. That's his responsibility.
And then, so that's definitely the delegation. And then, I know I was like, oh, other stuff like what you're saying, like, what, just in the meeting to vocalize some things, but I would appreciate like a timeline and like in the weekly updates on like how, when the process does start of like talking to principals and stuff like that, like, oh, how many months is that conversation happening? When would be the months of like implementation? Like when that does start, like I would like kind of like to see that so that way we can kind of address like the follow through of part of that was like the follow through part of the timeline that was missing. So when that does start, that's something in the weekly.
All right, school improvement. Any comments on that? I think,
That's government based, yeah.
I think Jim has been doing a great job.
Yeah,
Like,
that I
strategic
think,
planning, so.
yeah, considering we just went over that with the 12E grant.
Yeah.
If there's like, obviously we have funding for select things, right? So if new things prop up that people ask about, like how does the district kind of navigate that? Like, do you have to say like until funding comes, then those things would be
Well, that-
addressed?
So,
I mean, we used to have 5 years strategy plans.
Yeah.
That
well, we also used to have a sinking fund, so, we wanna come up with a 10-year capital plan and then prioritize things, so as we get funding, we can address certain items. But a lot of it with us is, since we don't have a sinking fund or a bond, we have to look for these grants. And then, appreciate MDE, but, they maybe wouldn't have been everything that we would have picked, but, we're thankful for, giving $11 million.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I think we come to a close. Anything else you guys want to add? All right, regular meeting adjourned. -5.